cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. And some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but someday we'll realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. And some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but someday we'll realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, beautiful people. How is everyone doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Monday. Can you believe it's Monday again? Wow. Pinch me, because I tell you what, the time is simply just flying by, but we are here for it. Of course, always bringing you the latest and greatest in terms of news, sometimes not greatest. Quite a few things we're going to be talking about today that quite honestly disturbs me. Yeah, wow. All right, we do have Premier Andre Ebanks and the Honorable Minister of Education and Finance coming in as well, the Honorable Ralston Anglin. So we are getting ready for them. I think they'll be joining us around 8 o'clock. So we got 20 minutes. It's a quick time. Get some susin. Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? Everybody's good? So, my goodness, this weekend was very, very eventful. I must say I was taken aback by the number of things that happened, but this is the fast-paced world that we now live in. And by the way, let me just grab the show links for you guys who are waiting on it on the WhatsApp channel. So let me do that as well. But yes, it's really something else, because there are just so many unfortunate incidents that happened over the weekend. So I'm going to start by telling you guys, let me first do a big shout out to Cayman Airways. So, yeah. Yes. So let me just say that on Friday, one of the reasons I had to jettison out of here really, really quickly is I actually was off to catch a flight on Friday morning. And it was a very sort of last minute situation that came together. So I want to thank all of the Cayman Airways team that made it possible for me to that morning book a flight and actually get on the plane. So I did a little thank you video. I'm definitely going to be posting that up, a little bit later on. But I just wanted to do a big shout out to the team over at Cayman Airways. Special thanks to Miss Olivia, and of course, all of the counter staff who were able to, Gianna went with me and they were able to sort out our seating so that we could sit together. And yes, everything just like I literally made it to, I literally made it just in time, just in the nick of time. And by the way, also let me do a big shout out to the young staff at Cayman Airways who were working the counter, because somehow I managed to do something to my phone where I enlarged the screen and I couldn't get it back to the normal size. So because of that, I couldn't even turn the screen, like I couldn't turn the phone off. I couldn't do anything because I couldn't see it properly to like hit the, I tried to do a hard reboot and I couldn't find the scroll to do it. So young man there, he's like, oh, I know what you did. I think he Googled it, but thank you, young man, for even thinking of that. He said, you did a triple tap. I'm like, a triple tap? Okay, there you go. So triple tap and it went back to how it's supposed to be. So thank you so much, because I was kind of panicking because, we live in our phones. We all need our phones for everything, our lives. So as I was getting on the plane, I was receiving messages about an assault that was taking place at Cayman Bay. And I saw the video, and you saw the first video we posted. I was like, listen, I don't know what's going on here, but this is like an example of where Cayman is not a real place. That is literally when you are lost for words and you just don't know what else to say about our beautiful island that unfortunately is not as beautiful as it used to be in terms of all the things that are happening in the community. So I saw the video and I was trying to make sense of it. And then I was like, whoa, okay. Um, I can't, yeah, yeah, yes. It's crazy. Um, hmm. So listen, you know that we hear the behind the scenes sauce, right? But I'm still a little bit confused about w- all right, let me tell you what really bothered me and what had me confused, right? A man having the audacity to assault a woman in public, no less, is shocking. But unfortunately, more and more, we are seeing these types of things happening, right? And I'm not so shocked once you see who he is, disappointed, but not really as shocked. And then I had to look at the video and question myself and say, wait a minute, all these people are standing around and no one did anything? Now, we've seen this before. This isn't really anything new. But I do think that this kind of hit a little bit differently because, there were all of these people there. Now, to be fair to them, and I always say this, I think a lot of people are quite honestly, sort of afraid of getting involved because they don't know the backstory. So they have a lot of concerns, right? I don't know. I am perplexed. But listen, I think we're ready. We have the premiere. Are we ready? Just give me a thumbs up. Premiere, the honorable. I saw a peace sign. Does that mean two? Does that mean 2 minutes? So let me just see if they're ready because we'll talk about this. Somebody else is asking for the show link. Follow the channel, folks. Follow the channel. You get the show links in the morning. All right. Yeah, we're also going to talk about the we're getting to the Cotton Club incident as well. So you guys got to stay tuned. Ay. Wow. Okay. All right, in 3 minutes. Okay. All right. So I don't even want to get too deep into the conversation because then, 3 minutes is not enough to even start what I saw happening there because I don't know. So let's just use that 3 minutes to say good morning to everyone. Good morning, Miss Evelyn. Abby is here. Mitzi. Thank you so much. Stephanie Brooks is in the house. Morning, Miss Stephanie. We've got over 360 people already. I know you guys are just waking up. It's Monday morning after all. Marshall, how you doing? Barbara G in the house. Miss Lucille is here joining us from the UK. Vanessa Scott, thank you so much. And we are watching a system as well. So yes, thank you so much. The National Hurricane Center issued a tropical weather outlook update this morning. As of 6:36 a.m., they've given a tropical wave Invest AL98 located over the Eastern Caribbean, 50% formation chance of development over the next 2 days, 80% for chance of development over the next 7 days. So it's definitely going to develop into something. And the system is currently moving pretty fast, 20 to 25 miles per hour, which should help limit any significant development for the next day or so. After that, the system is going to slow down with environmental conditions being more conducive for development as a tropical depression or storm. And they're saying that that's likely to happen over the next few days. So we are going to pay very, very close attention to this. Now, folks, listen, we're in October. So the height of the hurricane season, which would normally be in mid-September, we skated through it, nothing really happening thus far. But we should advise you that, these late storms can be very, very dreadful. So we do want to pay attention to these, okay? So we've got some local impact projections. It means considerable uncertainty where the weather model is going to put this eventually. However, one major model suggests a tropical storm impacting Hispaniola, and that would be the most favorable solution for the Cayman Islands, with no impacts expected over our area. But of course, you know that these storms are highly unpredictable, especially this early on. So the model certainly cannot rule out us at this particular time. However, let me just say this, folks, this is the time now that you start to think to yourself, well, there's a possibility that this storm could develop into something serious. So therefore, start all of your necessary preparations. We've been so blessed this hurricane season, but don't take it for granted, okay? All right, so Strong Wilt, good morning to you. Mr. Roberts in the house. Miss Bonnie is here. Thank you, Jean Solomon. By the way, big shout out to Miss Jean. She's a happily retired civil servant, honey child. Congrats, Miss Jean. Worked 30, how many years? 30-something years in the civil service. Yeah, wonderful. Congrats to her. Enjoying her retirement, which if I know Miss Jean, she's not going to be any less busy just because she's retired. Oh, KK doesn't seem to like Mondays. OMG, why not? Any day that we are above ground and we're healthy, KK is an amazing day, even Mondays. I'm going to do a big shout out to a couple people. Man, I met a young lady recently. I'm not going to embarrass her by saying where, but she messaged me and said, well, I saw her in her office. She's like, oh my God, it's you. She's like, I'm having a fangirl moment right now. Big shout out to her. That's so cute. If you know what she means, that means that, Rosa, that's all I'm going to say is her name. Rosa, this is a big shout out to you. Yeah, fangirl moment. I feel you. I appreciate the love too. And then I saw a young lady coming back on the plane yesterday and she's like, I feel like I know you. And I said, really? She's like, yes. And I said, do you ever listen or watch Marvel? She's like, oh my God, that's you. I listen to you all the time. You're so amazing. I was like, oh, thank you. You guys are so awesome. Big shout out to Sharon Brown over at Station Manager for Cayman Airways in Tampa. Can I tell you, Tampa is a totally different vibe than Miami. I really, really appreciate the customer service that she gives. Wow. Next level. Not for nothing, but I'm feeling like I need to be going to Tampa more often instead of Miami. OMG. Yep. That's all I'm going to say. She's amazing. So, and not just her, but her entire staff really take care of you there in Tampa. They're great. Excellent, excellent customer service. Someone at Cayman Airways, give her a raise, honey child. Good morning, Lizette. Paul, Nathina, good morning to you. Patricia Blake is in the house. Miss Ethel. Yeah, so we're going to get to the baby in the car, KK. I'm still trying to get some details on the age of this child. But whoa, another incident that had my head spinning this morning. I saw it late last night. And I was like, oh God, I can't even watch this video. This is going to give me nightmares if I watch it before going to bed. Unbelievable. Strong Wilt, Felicia Rankin, so good to see you. And with police being off duty assisting, you're going to say suspicious. Who said suspicious? Huh? I'm not sure what that's about, but okay. Wee, good morning to you. We also need to tell you about the ombudsman video that's been circling around. There's one about McRuss. Oh my gosh, it's been a busy couple days. Oh, why is my camera not on? Hold on a second. Just noticing that my camera is not coming on. In fact, I wanted to move my camera. Maybe this is a good opportunity to do that on the fly. Yes, honey child, there's been a lot going on. So I don't know something's in the water. I feel like there's something's not quite right around. Yeah. Can y'all please tell me what's in the water? What have y'all been drinking lately? Oh my goodness. Okay, so Jessica, Brian in the house, Shaka Zulu, good morning to you. Are we ready, folks? They are ready. All right, we're gonna go ahead and bring them in. Folks, please welcome Premier Andre Ebanks. Of course, I don't feel like he needs any introduction. And we also have the Honorable Minister of Education and Training, and Finance, and he's here sort of with his financial hat on today, the Honorable Ralston Anglin. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Cayman and Caymanians overseas.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much. It's the first time that the two of you have actually been on CMR together, so this is indeed an honor to have you here this morning. We've got a lot to talk about. I know that this coalition government has been incredibly busy, and I want to first congratulate the team. And I do really mean this with the sincerest of sort of sentiments this morning. And what an amazing milestone that you reached recently by proving that we can have a government that is cohesive and really trying to put the people of the Cayman Islands first, as opposed to themselves. So we saw the government sign this agreement, really a historic achievement. First time ever in the history of the Cayman Islands, you actually signed this, what's called, let me just see what we're calling it.
I can tell you.
Formal governance agreement. Can we talk just a little bit about this before we get into the SPS? Because this is history. Why did you find it necessary to do that, and how did it come together?
I'm going to come to that in one moment, but there's something
Okay.
I want to say at the top of our hour, and at
Yes.
the end of the hour to bookend it. We are aware of a weather system. I heard you talk about it just before we came on. It is very difficult to pinpoint exactly where it will end, but rest assured that the relevant CIG teams are closely monitoring it. The advice so far is there's no need to panic. Just be sure that your stocks are topped up, your preparedness is in order in a calm and orderly fashion, and they'll continue to monitor with updates as we move, as the storm moves. But at the moment, no one panic. But it's a good reminder that it's not out. We're not out of hurricane season yet. But keep calm and moving on.
Yes, yes, same sentiments here for sure. Thank you so much, Premier Andre Ebanks.
Now back to politics.
Yes.
So our governance agreement wasn't an idea that was just sort of cooked up in the last 2 to 3 weeks. The gentleman to my right, I think you actually campaigned on it. Heavily campaigned on it. And I must say, credit where credit is due, on the dawn of formation, after the polls closed, on the dawn, when we got together, it was, let me say it how you say it in Parliament. It was Ralston, Malachi, Anglin, who said, we put this thing together, we have to have it as part of a coalition agreement. After the government, once the government was formed, we had the Cabinet Office do research for different countries in the Commonwealth where there have been templates before, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we obviously wanted to make sure that it was tailored specifically to this group and Cayman. After we saw a few templates, we met a few times, we engaged a local council to help draft it. We went over it as a group, added things. I think that was, as I said, customized to us and how we've seen each other, how we've seen the group function over the last 4 to 5 months, and said, okay, I think we have something that we all agree on, and let's make it public to be sure that we are not only holding to what we said on the campaign trail, after formation, that promises made, promises kept. And that's what you have before you.
Fantastic. I mean, the people, I can tell you, are most appreciative of that for sure. So, all, sort of information that I've received that you guys have been extremely busy since you've gotten elected, really focused on being about the people's business. And one of the areas that has taken a lot of your time, and I want you to generally explain the process, because I think that most people don't really know what the SPS is, and they don't know how it works and how it comes together. So this is one of the areas that has taken up, a significant portion of the government's time thus far. Tell us what is the SPS in layman's terms?
It's funny you should say that, Sandra, because you and I didn't speak before this broadcast. But when Minister Anglin and I spoke this morning, I said, I think we should just start with an overview and not assume. Let's just break it down one more time for the listening public and explain the legislative change we made for greater accuracy in the SPS.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sandra, the strategic policy statement is the strategic approach that government is going to use to governance. And so what it does is it clearly lays out what we believe are going to be our actual broad outcomes, right? So it says to the country, broadly speaking, here's what we're looking to achieve. And within each of those areas, which we're going to go into, we then have specific outcomes of how we're going to achieve those broad outcomes. And then within the document, we have a very broad fiscal frame. That is, we have all of the allocations to the various ministries, portfolios, and offices in government. And on top of that, we then project out what the fiscal frame will look like. What will the surplus and deficit look like throughout a 3-year period, but a 2-year budget? The reason that legislative change was made to a 3-year period, we wanted to make sure that each time we did a 2-year budget, we actually looked beyond the 2 years to ensure that we were encapsulating all the economic activity for that specific period. What we then do is we also lay on top of that, not only all of our specific operating programs, we also have all of our capital works, all of the capital programs that we're going to undertake for that 3-year period. Now, once you do that, you then have to measure all of the elements of the FFR, all of the elements of the fiscal framework for fiscal responsibility, and ensure that within those projections, you are compliant or not compliant with all the principles of the FFR. And of course, this budget projection is projecting us to be compliant with every single element. One of the things that you then have to do is you then have to fund all of those activities. And just like if you're a family, if you can make enough money to build your house out of cash, then you work, save, and build it out of cash. Most people, though, work, save, and have to borrow and go and build their home, but they then have to meet all of the bank's criteria to ensure that they can actually afford that home. The same thing has happened with this SPS. We have projected out our surpluses in a very truthful manner. We have produced, I believe, for the first time, probably in a decade, a true budget where we've not taken any shortcuts, where we've not cut any specific line items, just to try and ensure that the surplus or deficit looks pretty. And so we've given the country a truthful budget. And within that fiscal frame, we know that the activities that we have to undertake for our people, we have to build additional classrooms at various schools. We have to build roads and continue the east-west arterial, because we know how important that and many, many, many other projects are to the country. Well, to afford them or to build them, we have to borrow. But within the borrowing, the framework of fiscal responsibility forces you to then measure what is your debt service ratio. And our debt service ratio at the end of this is still only 7.6%. So Sandra, think about how low that is compared to how much your debt service ratio can be at a bank when you have to go and get a mortgage. And so at 7.6%, I dare say we would have one of the lowest debt ratios in the world, not in the region, but in the world. And so it clearly demonstrates to the country that yes, we're going to have to borrow during this term or during this budget to afford a number of the critically important items, but it's well within our capacity to repay the debt. Now, as the economy grows, if we have to borrow less, let's say that a number of the items that we're raising revenues for, the economy actually grows and beats our forecast, and we can actually make more money out of those items, then we'll borrow less. Equally, if we make even more money than we're thinking and we can pay down, then we do that. But at the end of the day, it's my job to be conservative. I can't swing for the fences and hope for astronomical growth. We've been extremely conservative in all of our approaches so that if by chance we have either contraction in certain areas of the economy, we can still be within the FFR. And we have went through the entire budget with that sort of mindset. Be conservative, be realistic, but be conservative at the same time. So broadly speaking, the SPS then, to draw it back, we then have to take that to the House, and the House looks at that overall fiscal frame and debates the strategic policy statement and says yes or no, and of course you get it passed, which we did. That now is the basis upon which myself and the finance team will finalize the budget that we take to the House in November the 5th. Sandra?
My apologies. I was just saying thank you so much for that explanation. I think most people now have a better idea of how it works. Now, is the SPS something you do every couple years? How does that work in terms of frequency?
So the SPS precedes every budget. So the cycle is you produce a strategic policy statement with that broad fiscal frame, take it to the House, debate it, and once the House approves it, that's our authority to then go back to the Minister of Finance and actually produce the budget on the basis of this SPS. And Sandra, one thing that seems to have reared its head again is why did we come 6 months after the general election?
Yes.
History has shown, Sandra, that we were doing we double budgeted. If you look at all of our history over the years, you will see between the SPS and the final budget, wild swings up to 30%, 40% in revenue and expenditure totals between what the SPS document contained and what the final budget contained. So we wanted to ensure that those two dates, first of all, were much closer because it gave the finance team and ministries and portfolios who have to do the actual real work for their specific agencies time to get a much more accurate numbers in place, that you don't have these wild swings and you don't have the double budgeting process. The other thing that was obvious to us was coming out of a general election, to give a government a mere 90 days meant that you naturally would double budget because you were rushing to just try and meet a legal requirement. So we went to the Parliament and said, why rush to meet a legal requirement? Why not put in place the type of time period that really is required to do the actual detailed work? Picture a brand new minister. If you were in a ministry before and you rolled over, but that's one thing. You just went right back to the same office, same staff. Picture a brand new minister having to meet new staff, learn the subject, see what's going on, actually try to implement real changes for the people, and then laid on top of that, try to come to grips with the numbers that makes up his or her budget and produce the type of submission to the Ministry of Finance that was credible. That's trying to do that in 90 days, Sandra, simply was not good practice. And so that's why we went to the House, we changed the law, and we said, let it be 6 months after a general election. And I think future governments are going to find that very useful.
And to underscore this point, the change that we made to the Public Management Finance Act was only in the instance of a year with a general election.
Mhm.
So to follow through on what Minister Anglin has just said, when we now come to Plan 2829 as a working, functioning government, there should be no reason why we can't produce it earlier.
Sure.
Because the government is already in train. You've built the first term budget, the first 2-year budget. You're now continuing your program. But when a new government comes in, which is the point we were making, for all the factors that the minister just outlined, to then scramble in 3 months just to meet a sort of artificial deadline. So wait a second. If we look back at the historical trend, the SPS and the actual budget have been way off, and that's because people are running around to just get something through to facilitate meeting that statutory deadline. And we took a look at it and said, wait a second, let's just do it make sense.
Yeah.
So we knew that there would be some pushback, and some would say, well, why would it take you 6 months and everybody else before you, every government had done it in 3? But what did they actually produce in 3 months? Did it actually track closer to the budget, which is what the country's relying on? Let's not worry about what will be said. Let's do what makes sense.
Mhm.
Most of us are not any sort of financial or budget gurus here, but taking an approach that makes sense seems more logical. And as Nathina says, I agree, bad performance management. And she also just clarified something, of course, getting a little bit technical here, but I know the Honorable Minister of Finance is ready for this one. So she says, is there a variance and data analysis report that will be published after the 2 years and then an update on the 3-year, including both a 2 and 3-year ratio calculation showing comparison? Little heavy.
No, that's not heavy at all, Sandra.
Not for you mathematical people.
Yeah. You break it down.
Every 3 months, statutorily, we produce the quarterly financial statements, and it's gazetted. You can go right now on the Ministry of Finance's website, and you can see the accounts through March 31st, through June the 30th, and through September 30th will be coming up soon. And so we already, by law, by statute, have to produce those accounts. And those interim accounts clearly can be tracked versus the budget. And so our system is extremely transparent. And so, yes, the public will see just as they've done in the past, they will see the 2026 accounts, which will be audited by the audit office. And those, again, will all be tracked against the actual budget that we're going to pass, God's willing, next month.
And to link this back to our governance agreement, we've all then had to decide as a group, what are the initiatives and programs that we would wish to be unified under? We said, well, wait a second. Why would we write 2 different documents? If we already focused our minds as a group to think about the 26-27 budget, the macro numbers, and start to get into the micro numbers of the programming, that's our checklist. So what you'll see is that the governance documents, the governance document, the coalition agreement links to the SPS, so that you can have transparently see what the group, the NCFC, is trying to achieve by the midterm.
Okay. So just to clarify, the strategic policy statement, and this is why all Caymanians should really be concerned about this, is it sort of sets the pace for the direction of where government will be spending its money, if I had to break it down in layman's terms.
Absolutely.
Correct.
That's exactly what it does. That's exactly what it does, Sandra. And if you go, actually, just to help the public, because all these documents are now available, if you look on page, give me a second, I'll point you to exactly where the broad parameters and spending for each of the areas of government is within the document. But yes, to your point, here it is. If you look on page 51, you will see all of the allocations by every single ministerial portfolio for 26, 27, and 28. It's all laid out in the document. So this document, Sandra, this document is not one that people have paid a lot of attention to. And let's be frank, it's principally been because it's differed so wildly from the budget in previous years that a lot of people just never really paid attention to it. A lot of people just said, you know what? Just listen to what they have to say, but let's wait for the budget.
Let's wait for the budget.
And then we'll really see what the numbers are. And that's what we're trying to close the gap on. We're trying to finally have a year where you can go from SPS to budget and not have these wild swings.
And
yes.
One other point to perhaps underscore in terms of harkening back to realistic numbers. Anyone listening to Parliament last week may have heard some feedback that for NGS 55, which relates to the cost of healthcare costs, and TP 41, which relates to financial assistance for the vulnerable, will they be budgeted at realistic level? And what we have done and what will feature in the budget is that we're getting those 3/4 of the way, which is higher than they've been in decades.
In fact, Premier, I heard you say 3/4. They're
At least
they're at 84%.
at 84%. So more than 3/4 of the way. And then when was the last time that occurred?
A long time.
A long time. So people might turn around and say, well, why not go to 100%? So first of all, 84% is higher than it ever seen. But to make the budget making point, it's easier, and it has been easier for prior governments to just drop that to say 50%, 40%, knowing all the while that with those items, you can go back within the budget year to get supplementary funding, because who's going to say no to healthcare costs? Who's going to say no to financial assistance for the vulnerable? So that your budget document has a healthier looking surplus, but you know that from day one that will be eaten into, because those two budget line items have been under budgeted. What we have done is to show the country up front, yes, we're going to have this more than 3/4 of the way. We're going to have this 84%, not 100. But at the same time, someone might say, well, why not just go the whole way? Because for some of those items, we know that we need to look at how they will not increase. What can we do, which is tied to cost of living, to bring healthcare costs down? Because if we just surrender and say we'll just go to 100%, it's over, then it's almost as if you're not putting any thought to innovation of how you're going to contain costs or actually reduce costs. So we'll put enough in so each of the ministers don't have to struggle, run back in April of next year to say I'm running out of money. There's a whole show that happens in finance committee. Let's avoid all that. Take the stress off the minister, take the artificial nature out of the budget. And then that gives us some think time to figure out how we're either going to contain these costs, revamp systems, so that the budget then, hopefully over time, is either contained or we see reduction.
And Sandra, let's give you a realistic, some real life example. I took great pains in the finance committee in June, where I went year on year on year and pointed out to the committee and put it on record how wildly different not only SPS and budget numbers were, but how much this was underfunded. So let's put this in context. In 2025, NGS 55, let's take that one alone, had historically not gone below 52 million. Make a guess what was in the 2025 budget for it, Sandra.
Tell me what that stands for, first of all.
Historically, it had never been below $52 million.
She wants to know what is NGS 55.
What is yeah.
that is healthcare for the vulnerable, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
So if people have to get sent overseas, people have to get referred to Health City. That is how government funds all of those activities to ensure we basically keep people alive.
So the question, it's never gone below
52 million.
Okay.
Can you guess, approximate, what do you think was in this year, the 2025 budget?
Wow. I'm going to say that it's probably closer to 80 million.
No. It was 52 million. We had never gone above 52 million. Never been at 80.
We've never gone above it. Okay.
We've never gone, it's always averaged 52 million. This year's budget only had $18 million budgeted. 18. That is why you saw us go in June and in September to have supplementary funding added to that line item.
I see what you're saying.
So it was historically under budgeted.
Under budgeted.
one of the things that we did in the ministry is we took an exercise and we took the top 4 such items: NGS 55, HEA 2, scholarships, and Siemens and veterans. And we looked at the historic budget numbers for those items.
The actual spend.
Right.
Budget and then actual spend.
And compared it to the actual spend. If we had budgeted at the levels that were in the previous 3 budgets, we would have came out with a $6 to $7 million, I think it was like a $6 to $8 million surplus projection. And yet the opposition gets up and criticizes us for having such a slim budget, such a small budget projection. Well, it's narrow because we have put in the budget realistic numbers for these critically important areas of spend. So yes, we could have done what previous governments did, which is simply take it out of the budget, make the budget look really good, go down to Parliament, pass the budget, give yourself a big pat on the back, knowing that you're going to come back for supplementaries, just as we did in June and we did in September. We went down to supplementaries, I think somewhere in the order of $38 million for NGS 55 alone. $38 million to bring it up to $54 million is what we're going to spend this year. Now, the opposition, quite rightly, tried to pick that apart as they would do and say, well, you've budgeted at 84% this year. Why is it you've done that? Why didn't you just go with the previous year's actuals? Because if you did that, then you'd have a deficit. Well, the counter to that is twofold. One, that's pretty interesting that you would criticize that, given that you only put in 18 million yourselves to make your budget balanced. We've now put in 43 and get criticized. We've put in 43, Sandra, because there's a range of activities that is going to actually be explained during the budget process by various ministers as to how we believe that we are going to bring down the cost of a large number of items. Well, not a large number of items, a number of big ticket items, I should say.
Big ticket items.
So it's really surrounds around 3 or 4 areas of government that we're looking at closely. One of them, Sandra, that I did, the Premier mentioned in his wrap up, is I had already gotten caucus approval. I am going to be rolling out, pursuant to Section 54 of the Constitution, a ministerial committee to look at national health care.
Yes.
We have sat around so long, Sandra, and said, families mandatorily have to get health insurance. You then get health insurance from a private provider. The minute a person either gets a terminal illness like cancer, or and reach their lifetime limit under their program, or they reach retirement age, guess what happens? The private sector provider drops them or increases the premium so astronomically high that they can't afford it. And so the person then says in retirement, I don't have health care. So those persons are the persons that then have to come and access NGS 55 through Cynical. And so when you hear about the cynical coverage is funded through NGS 55 in large measure. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look globally at what does our healthcare industry look like? What does healthcare look like for us? What is the spend? And what is it sensible for us as government to do? Should we continue a system where the private sector gets people when they're healthy, have low claims, but it's the minute they get ill or reach retirement, they can conveniently kick them off the program, and government then is the one holding the bag. So the private sector gets you when you're nice and healthy, and premiums are stable, claims are low. They make the profit, they take the profit home. Government then sucks up all the loss when you're either terminally ill or at retirement. Sandra, I've repeated that in 3 different ways for a very specific reason.
Okay.
I left government 12 years ago talking about this. I got elected 25 years ago talking about this. And we've had successive administrations who refused to say to the country, we have to look at what a national healthcare framework would look like. right? We're not talking about going and nationalizing any other. We're looking specifically at healthcare, because if we're not going to have that mature conversation, that uncomfortable conversation with the private sector to say, you're either going to have a very different model of service provision to our people, or government is going to have to expand the services of Cineco further. It's that simple, Sandra. We cannot continue to run the country. We're averaging 52 million. Think about that, Sandra. We're averaging $52 million a year that we are spending on healthcare coverage for our people, simply because they no longer have access to private sector healthcare.
And you add on top of that the aging population.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is
Yes.
unsustainable. And think of the other pressure points in the system. Because when Minister Anglin points out that the private side of your insurance runs out and you come to government, you now have to apply through the Department of Financial Assistance. So they get the pressure now on that department that has its other caseload. These can often come in as hot potatoes. That somebody needs help now, needs to get on the flight now. That then diverts a whole sub-team within the Department of Financial Assistance who might ordinarily be working on other cases, and now divert its attention to this case, have to liaise with HSA, with Cineco, and under the Act right now, still having to liaise, which we need to amend in this term, with the Department of Children and Family Services. So 4 entities are now tied up. We have to do better.
Yep. And Sandra, think about that, right? So that could be someone who's gotten in a motor vehicle accident on a Friday night and needs to get flown out. That could be someone who had a heart attack and needs to get to Health City. That could be someone. So I mean, these, as the Premier said, a lot of times these are really, really hot potatoes, and you have to make that decision. And at the end of the day, who's left paying for it?
The taxpayers,
so
of course.
We need to do a better job, Sandra. And so
and one Minister, go ahead.
No, we have a range of activities that we're going to undertake, where we're going to be talking openly and frankly with the public about non-communicable diseases. What should we be doing? We have to drive down our rates of diabetes and all these other diseases in Cayman. And as we roll out more and more opportunities and programs for all of us to be healthier, because we're living longer. And then on top of that, a number of other initiatives undertaken by Minister Miles in the Ministry of Employment to get Caymanians back to work. We believe those are going to have hugely impressive downward pressures on the numbers of Caymanians who have to go against everything that a lot of them believe in, which is swallow their pride, because they simply have been trying for 6, 8, 12 months to get a job, but then have to go to DFA once their savings have run out. If we can get more Caymanians in employment and bring all of this together, we're convinced that we will be able to lower those costs to government and have a much healthier population and more Caymanians in employment.
And a healthier budget.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
The healthcare spend for any nation speaks volumes to, as you rightfully say, the health of the nation fiscally and, the health of your people. They're interconnected. There's no way to separate the two. Can I just throw something out there? Because I learned something recently that was a little bit of a shocker to me. Of course, this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And there's lots of education campaigns around that, lots of opportunities for people to get free, mammogram screening vouchers and so on. One of the things that was brought to my attention, which, like I said, I was taken aback by, is the fact that we evidently have people here who are coming to Cayman. We have a large portion of imported workers, people who come here and work. And apparently there's a good number of them who are coming here ill with things like cancers. So they will know, some of them actually know for sure that they have a cancer diagnosis. It's not something that they could afford to get treatment back home from. They get a work permit and they come into Cayman. Next thing you know, a couple months later, oops, I've got this breast cancer diagnosis and I'm either on the SHIC plan or simply can't afford it. So as you say, then Cineco is going to have to step up to the plate. They're an indigent person here on a work permit. Is the government going to put anything in place to curtail? Because those are abuses of the system. If you come here knowing that you have an illness and you get on an insurance plan, even private insurance, in order to then effectively, give yourself some coverage, which you would not have been able to do in your own country. Is the government thinking along the lines of curtailing some of these abuses? This is but one example. As it impacts healthcare and healthcare costs, driving up healthcare costs for everyone?
Well, Sandra, generally speaking, the minister responsible for DFA clearly outlined to the Finance Committee in its last sitting, and I think debunked the myth that there's these tons of non-Caymanians accessing DFA, and every one of these cases would have had to have gone through DFA to access healthcare. The principal persons who are actually non-Caymanian who are named at DFA are typically persons who all have a Caymanian child and care for a Caymanian child, and that's the services that they're actually accessing. As it relates to healthcare and these other costs that you quite rightly point out, I can tell you another one that we know about, which is coming to Cayman to access the Lighthouse School. Government is actively working to ensure that those persons, sadly, some Cayman say not sadly, but fact is, we simply can't afford to keep persons who are in those categories on work permit. We just have to be blunt about it. Caymanians can't go anywhere else. It's tough conversations to be had, and one of the things that we've said as a group and as a team, and I feel very good about, we're not kicking any can down the road, and we are willing to come to the public and have these uncomfortable conversations.
Correct.
I can tell you right now, Sandra, in my ministry, we had a case with persons on work permit with a child that presented a range of disabilities that we simply couldn't handle in our system. The answer had to be no. If it was a Caymanian child, yes, we would then have had to have hired additional staff to ensure that that child was cared for. But ultimately, I can't go to the Caymanian public and Caymanian taxpayers and say, I hired an additional 3 to 4 staff to care for a single child who is actually dependent on a work permit. People may say, well, oh, that sounds cruel or what have you. That's being realistic. The fact is, that is just how the world works. That is where we're at. And if we're not willing to have those conversations and tell the public truthfully that this is where we are, you're quite right, Sandra. People look at Cayman in various ways and say, how can we benefit? Listen, humans are going to find an advantage for them, whether it's in their own country or in another country.
Yep.
That's just the reality of it. And so that's one of the very interesting points that you've pointed out. But coming out of this, I will go back to the ministry and double check on NGS 55 and ensure those recipients are principally Caymanians.
Yes. So if I'll chime in there. In my time as social development minister, I hadn't seen cases. I mean, we've always heard the claim of non-Caymanians accessing DFA services, but those are tightly held and now enshrined in the Financial Assistance Act for Caymanians, with the exception of a non-Caymanian who is seeking services on behalf of a Caymanian child. There are the Act has some exceptional circumstances if there was a domestic abuse, if there was a fire where they can exercise some discretion, but principally those services go to Caymanians. The trickier cases that in my time of social development, and Minister Isaac has it now, is when you have Caymanians who have insurance, private insurance, have exhausted the insurance, and because they are, say, a middle income, 2-income household family, they don't meet the DFA criteria. And they have a sick child with a rare disease. What does the social development minister do when in one case that I had, I think I've spoken about this openly before, where the disease is rare, the child is going to pass, has zero chance, unless you, the minister, sign off for NGS 55 coverage. What do? You have to extend it. So we also, as we look at it, have to make a distinction of when someone is medically indigent, right, rather than financially indigent. So let's just unpack that for a second. Under the DFA criteria, you are not earning an income, either you're permanently disabled or you're elderly, you exhaust your savings, or you're unemployed temporarily. You're unable to generate an income. Well, what if, so then you're financially indigent for the statutory language. But what if you tick all the boxes? You're making good money, but an unfortunate health event occurs to you that you cannot avoid. It happens when it happens, or it happens to your child.
Right.
The DFA can look at the minister and say, well, they don't fit the criteria. Financially, correct. But what do we do? And that's why we're looking at expanding the pool of health insurance for those cases so that government can better afford to take care of people in that circumstance. Those are the trickier cases. And that's not abuse. The Caymanian family is looking at you, multi-generational Caymanian family, and saying, what do? Brick K is exhausted. We cannot get another dollar, or our child has no chance to live.
Wow.
And
I mean,
that's the
yeah, I
stark
was gonna
reality,
say,
Sandra. And
yes.
but bringing it back to where we are, the fact is, Sandra, the public can rest assured, this is a solid budget. It's not one that's filled with fluff. We have not peeled back and just arbitrarily cut numbers just so we could come and brag and thump our chest and go and say, oh yes, we're projecting $50 million surpluses. Woohoo, we're doing great. This is it. No, we're being realistic. And the truth is, given the tax packages, and when I say tax, I mean fee increases in financial services. Let's be clear about this. Given the fee increases in financial services that were implemented back in 2011, this country has built 1.5 decades of budgets primarily on those fee increases. We believe that the fee increase packages that we're bringing this time is going to have a similar type of long-term impact. Because when you look at the fee increases, because the other thing the opposition got up and said, oh, we're looking to tax, borrow, and spend. There is nothing in this that is going to hit the common man. We're looking at fee increases that the legal fraternity has agreed to.
The Class A banks, who
Class
have
A
not had a
banks.
fee raise in for a very long time.
Right. Partnerships.
Partnerships.
We're looking at exempt company fees going up. Those are the fees that we're talking about that are being increased. This isn't something that the average Caymanian family incurs on a day-to-day basis. And so those fee increases, we believe, are solid. We've budgeted for them conservatively, but we believe that even beyond this budget, as the economy continues to grow, those areas are going to just continue to add to our revenue base, which we need to fund very, very important items. So we've looked at areas that we potentially could cut, but here's the reality of it, Sandra. We can get up and criticize the free schools meals and say no one expected this to balloon to $13 million.
Right.
But who's going to cut it? One-to-one device programs in public schools. We increased the Siemens veterans from $1,250 to $1,500.
Yes.
We rolled out a 5% COLA to the public service. 5% across the public service has cost the country around $50 million. And those have been big cost drivers in the last few years. But again, who's going to say that they're going to cut those areas? Now, we asked the opposition, they quickly said, oh, no, you can't cut those. But then they criticized us for saying we didn't cut expenditure.
Well, ministers,
sorry, Sandra, and
Yes.
even with respect to financial services fees, even those, Minister Anglin and I didn't just roll out of bed ourselves and dream up those increases. We had appropriate consultation to say, look, these are the levels that we're thinking about. Can you be able to absorb this? Can your clients be able to absorb this? Yes, if they're done in a particular fashion.
Well, we have well over 500 people tuned into the program. We hope we can keep the both of you for a few more minutes. Minister Ralston Anglin, you mentioned the the fees for the banks, right? Now, let's just be clear, because we've all seen recently bank increases. Now you can't, before you could do pretty much any transaction online and it came at no cost. Now they've attached an online transfer fee. Even within the same bank, transferring from one account to another account now attaches a fee. So is it realistic to say that if you're increasing fees on the Class A banks, that that's not going to trickle down to the consumer? How do you stop the banks from nickel and diming us for every single thing that they're potentially paying for, including increased fees to government?
I'll take that one, Sandra.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the consultation process that we had to say, what amount of increase can you absorb so that you do not pass it on to the consumer? So we just went out rashly and just dreamt up a number for them to increase, looking at, say, the reports we get from SEMA that they should be able to afford this, but
Right.
have no consultation with them whatsoever, and then they just lump it back to the consumer. To avoid that, we had the honest conversation and say, look, it's been a
Mhm.
decade since your fees have risen.
Mhm.
This is what we see on SEMA's reporting of your financial health. We think you'll be able to absorb this and increase it over time. 26, there's a bump. 27, there's a bump. And into 28, there's a bump. Do you see a difficulty paying this that will then have you have the reaction to then have the
Mhm.
consumer pay? No, we think we can absorb this within our balance sheet. Number two, the banks now have agreed, all of them unanimously,
Mhm.
to a code of conduct that is modeled off of the UK's Financial Conduct Authority consumer duty rules to avoid them, or at least mitigate the chances of wilder sort of ticky-tack fees that when I've told them, and I'll say it openly here on air,
Mhm.
when you get those and you look at your bank statement, you're like, come on, really? Really? You're really going to hit me for this?
Mm.
A couple of them in particular have said, we recognize that, and in a few instances, we should have handled that better. There'll be greater
Mhm.
notice for them to be able to implement those fees, and only do it when it's absolutely really necessary.
Thank you so much. And big shout out to Queen's daughter. I see her and I were thinking the exact same thing, because she also asked the same questions about the Class A banks. One listener to the program is wondering whether or not you will be increasing any fees, or if you've looked at the specific area of the special economic zone. You know, a lot of us get the impression that the special economic zone gets a pass on a lot of things. It's what attracts people to the zone, all the supposed savings that they get, everything from work permit savings to just the cost of doing business. But the economic zone itself makes a healthy amount off of these companies in the economic zone. How is government really benefiting from the special economic zone?
I'll make 2 points, Sandra, because I almost anticipated this as a question. And when we just gave a very brief overview, nutshell of some of the fees, I was thinking about dropping that one in because I figured the question would come.
Mhm.
Take a step back and put it in its historical context. So those zones were set up at a time where it was really a difficult period after the 2008 crisis, and
Mhm.
the then government really had to grapple with what can we introduce to help the economy, because it was tough globally, not just in Cayman, but globally. Well, we have said, looking back now that we're in 2025, we know we have to look at your fees now. It served the purpose. It is bringing in talent. They're now taking the turn to ensure that there are more Caymanians getting involved, getting jobs with certain companies.
Mhm.
However, we need to now say, and we started the dialogue already, and that's part of what you'll see in our revenue measures, is an increase of the trade certificates that go in there, because now we really have to say, you're making a handsome profit. And now there are two zones. Not just one, it's two.
Mm.
We have to now take a look at your fees and make sure that they are
Mhm.
comparable in 2025.
Wow. Thanks for that. We appreciate it.
And Premier, I'm sure you wouldn't, because this, obviously, Sandra, all of those areas fall to the Ministry of Financial Services. So that's why
Mhm.
Premier has intimate knowledge and discussions. But the other thing
Yes.
that you've done is you've ensured that there's going to be equity between the two zones.
Yes, between the two zones. So you don't have, well, okay, you put the fees up on one, so I'll just run to the other one. There has to
Mhm.
be parity, equality.
Mhm. Mhm.
Excellent point.
Fantastic. Now, I know that this, you've already addressed this, and I guess this person wasn't really paying attention to the news recently, because I know we did a story on this, but they said, "Hi, Sandy, can you please ask them when they're going to force the HSA to control the ridiculous wages they pay their board members? Not just their board members, but I mean, we even hear that, the CEO makes more than the premier." So this is a broader question, really, about remuneration for boards across the board, how boards operate, and also even the compensation for the SAGCs, how they're paid versus private sector. There's been private sector, my apologies, versus really core government. We understand that over the years, there's always been a huge variance between the two. What alignment exercise will take place to ensure that, in addition to just board members, also the SAGCs are making, obviously they're professionals, but they're making a reasonable amount of compensation, given that if that falls under the broader government umbrella as well?
So I don't think either of us, just as a overarching point, I'm not bothered who makes more than me.
No.
I'm not doing this for the
Yeah.
salary. And if comparably around the world there are certain posts, if you look comparatively speaking, where the CEO makes a particular amount
Mhm.
because the post entails a variety of tasks, I'm not bothered personally. So that wouldn't move me. But I don't think it would move Minister Angton or any other
Absolutely not.
minister. However, there's maybe a couple of things that come out of that question. One, I would refer the questioner back to the first ever Premier's question, where this was the question put to me by the leader of the opposition, and which I outlined on behalf, really essentially, Minister Kathy and her ministry, all of the steps that they're taking specifically with HSA and moving away from a per meeting fee basis to a more structured fee basis. All of it is outlined and packed into that answer. The other point that I think that comes out of that is, more broadly speaking, is the pay scales between the public service versus core civil service.
Mhm.
We are going to take a very close look at the Public Authorities Act, because there are a few pain points in there. Put aside what head of which
Right.
authority is making what. Put that to the
Mhm.
side. The bigger pain point is where you have a profit making public authority
Mhm.
that right now is trying to operate at civil service salary scales. What's occurring there, so take SEMA for example, you'll have hardworking middle management Caymanians in, say, a monetary authority or the civil aviation authority or the maritime authority, who
Mhm.
do not really see a great path for growth in front of them because of the salary scale.
Mhm.
Particularly in financial services, a very profitable financial services could say, well,
Mhm.
you are an expert in the banking division, in the
Mhm.
securities division, in the compliance division. I could really utilize your skill set within our company. And now in the private sector, I have the freedom to pay you whatever you want. What
Mhm.
does the Caymanian officer do in that case? They may be dedicated to public service, but it's a real reality that is looking at almost double my current salary. And
Mhm.
there are Caymanians ahead of me, and government isn't saying whether this will be adjusted. So then those authorities are losing Caymanians to the private sector.
Right.
Then what does the authority do? Because you need the talent to help regulate the business. So then you go back and say, well, now I need work permits. We
Mm.
have to course correct this. If we're serious about certain industries and we're looking around the world and we're saying, what are the scales in Bermuda? What are the scales in Hong Kong? Where are the scales in London? And get it comparably so you incentivize Caymanians to stay. Because there's
Mhm.
a lot of, if you look around now, I don't want to date anybody, but if you look around all the authorities, there's a sea change of people who are retiring, starting with the DG. What do those authorities look like? Do we want Caymanians to lead those in the next 5 to 10 years, where a lot of historical talent is about to retire? This is urgent. We are going to be on the case. And that's why, if we take it back to the
Mhm.
broad outcomes, you'll see number 7 is about good governance.
Mhm.
There are a few statutes that have been on the books. They've had their 1.0. We're going to start to look at 2.0.
Yes.
Mhm.
Procurement Act. What's working, what's not working, what's slowing things down.
Hmm.
Public Authorities Act. What's working, what's not working.
Mhm.
Nobody is saying that they didn't come in with good intentions, but every statute in a responsible democracy, get to 2.0. We can't be constrained because, taking our example, take it from the top of this hour, Public Management Finance Act. What does the minister and I do? Do we get constrained to a 3-month artificial deadline after the general election and scramble like everybody else do? Or do we go and say in 2025, let's do what makes sense?
That's right.
Solve long-standing issues, unify the country, and innovate.
Wow. So I know that you have a hard stop that ended a few minutes ago. So we do need to wrap things up, unfortunately, because we've got so many questions and so many comments coming in. I feel like we could do a part 2 on just this discussion. So many questions. AL 2025, we're just talking about the SPS this morning, but maybe we could throw just another one in there in terms of the 7 key outcomes that the SPS identifies being education, housing, the economy, health, Caymanian identity, public services, and governance. Which of these does the government view as most urgent?
So I know you say. Actually, number one, education, immigration, and workforce development. And funny you should say this, Andrew, because before we came on, I said to Minister Anglin, a natural agenda, and we can't get it done in an hour, are the broad outcomes.
Yeah.
So let's just read them out for the public. And maybe you're right, Sandra. We definitely come back and
Yes.
maybe bring the relevant minister, because this ends up to be a really interesting series. So education, immigration, workforce development, housing, infrastructure, environment, economy, health and social development, Caymanian identity, culture and heritage, public services, and the one I just spoke about a minute ago, good governance and public safety. That right there is a natural agenda. You could come back, bring the relevant minister, and talk about some of the programs. And all of this, again, is going to feature when we're back in Parliament scheduled 2 p.m. Wednesday, the 5th of November. And that'll be a different debate, Sandra, just to tee it up for the public. This was more a broad strokes, if anybody saw the debate, broad strokes, macro numbers, the aggregate targets. We've delivered a 59-page document for the country to see the broad direction that it's going. You wouldn't have seen too many ministers speak, but when we get to the budget address, and none of the ministers or PSs will be surprised what I'm about to say, they will then go into detail, now that we have detailed numbers of the programs and the initiatives that we seek to deliver for the country. So it's not tax and spend model. We're planning appropriately, investing, and then delivering outcomes.
That's right. And Premier, if I might, the other thing that would be, I think, very useful is just given the fact that we're at the SPS stage and Sandra is getting a number of comments in. Sandra, perhaps what you could do is collate a number of those comments, and we, Premier and I, do a part 2 where we handle the broad perspective and look broadly across government, and then as we get closer and then we get up to the budget stage, then we start talking in detail about the various areas, because I do believe that between the two of us, there's still a big piece of conversation that needs to continue to happen naturally coming out of this. Sandra, and I just want to thank all of your listeners. I just want to say, I do have my pink pen because I think a lot of you know my mother died of breast cancer. And so this month and this SPS in particular means a lot to me personally. And so I just want to encourage all women to, detect early, because it can save your life if you continue to check and keep a check on your health.
Thank you so much, Minister, for that important reminder. And thank you both. The numbers here, I think we've gone over 550 people now listening to the program, and they seem like they want more. So AL 2025 says, yes, I think we need more time, but they'll arrange it for us, AL 2025, not to worry. So thank you so much, Minister Anglin.
We'll come back. I want to end, Sandra, where I began with the weather update. So it's at both ends of the show.
Absolutely.
Yes. The government teams are aware of a weather system.
Yeah.
We're tracking it. It's difficult at the moment to pinpoint exactly where it would land. So there's no need to panic, but do take stock of where your preparedness levels are. I'll calmly look around. What else do you need? What else do you need to prepare? Just in case, as the team monitors, there'll be more and more updates. Right. Keep calm and carry on.
We appreciate it, folks. Time for preparation.
Sandra, we know you don't count how many times we appear. You're not like that.
Well, it's not,
So, but we'll
it's
be
never
back.
me. It's never me
We'll
that's
be back.
counting. It's other people. Like, where are they? We haven't seen
We know
them.
it's still never be you. So we'll be back. We'll be back. We promise.
Listen, as they say here in Cayman, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the cassava cake. The number of people tuned in this morning and watching clearly indicates how much people enjoy hearing from the government in terms of what's happening in these very, very important topics. I always gauge Instagram because Instagram is a tough crowd. And if Instagram is tuned in, even over 20 people on Instagram, you know, that's a tough crowd. So, you know, you've got their attention. 555 people just listening a minute ago. So we really appreciate folks. Please.
Sandra, I must tell you before I leave.
Yes,
I'm getting
sir.
some heat that we haven't played pickleball.
I
just
know.
played pickleball on the weekend. People said, well, what happened? You don't play with her no more? And they started to put it on me. I still covered you and said, we're going to get there. I covered you, Sandra.
Yes. I do feel like by next month, the knee, you know, I've been trying to slowly do the physio and, you know, 2 months out now from the keyhole surgery at Health City and feeling pretty good, but I kind of don't want to overextend myself. So a little bit of fear holding me back, but yeah, I think I'm going to be ready for you by next month. And the thing is, it's not just about getting back on the court for me because I actually need to beat you because, you know, last time I won. So now we're 1-for-1. So I can't come on there too slack and allow the premier to show me up again. So
we'll do a warm up just to knock it around so people can see we haven't given up.
Yes, that's great. Thank you both. Again, we had the Honorable Premier Andre Ebanks and Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Ralston Anglin, talking about the SPS. And we're going to go into some more details about that as well. Very good. We appreciate you coming on. Have a wonderful day. All righty. Bye-bye. All right, folks. So yes, wow. I'm so glad that you guys were very engaged. I saw you asking some good questions. My apologies. We couldn't get to all of your questions because, you know, the 1 hour just flies by so quickly. But like I said, it's obvious that people are tuned in and wanting to, you know, we'll pull out some of these questions, Miss Barbara. I think Minister Anglin mentioned that, and that's a great idea to go back and pull the questions, and then maybe we can actually sort them and see what ministers, you know, can answer them when they come on. So Cy Elliott, good morning, sir, says, great job. My apologies. Ms. Catherine says, was just listening, just checked in. Thank you, Ms. Catherine. George Sinclair says, good morning, Sandra. It's George from Jamaica. Hey, George, how you doing? We've got people all over the place listening to the program, and we appreciate you all tuning in. So let me say this, because I think I've actually moved my camera, and I think where I have it makes a little bit more sense. It's literally right in front of the computer because I'm always looking at this computer screen anyway. So I think that makes more sense. So listen, let me just say this because I think this is actually really, really important. I want to make a little bit of a correction in what I said earlier. I didn't actually mean to say that those persons who were coming here with an existing medical issue were going to DFS. That was actually not accurate. I think that's what I said. They're putting a burden on private insurance. And of course, any burden, whether it's private or even the public insurance, ultimately will impact the people of the Cayman Islands. So yes, there are people who are coming here who are realizing that they have cancer and other serious illnesses. Unfortunately, our medical, because I think it was Miss Ramelia that said, well, the medical should pick that up. Not really, because our medical simply is done to pick up sort of very big things like, you know, HIV, you're not about to drop dead sort of thing, I guess. You know, so it's not screening for any things like cancers. It's not in-depth medical at all. So I think that we need to really revisit how that medical is being done for persons who are coming in. I think we need to add a few markers on there, and cancer would definitely be one of those, because people recognize in their own country they may not have access to, listen, say whatever you want. And of course, you know, we know we have issues at HSA, for example, with some of the admin stuff. And, you know, they're not perfect. But compared to other countries, they're darn good, right? And so the level of care that people would be able to get, even the affordability, because now they've got insurance, they come here and they max out their insurance in no time because the cost of chemotherapy is very, very expensive. And the other thing that has recently come to my attention is, which is crazy, the insurance companies here, I can't remember if the person said just Cynical. I believe it's Cynical, and I want to mention this to Minister Rolson because this is something that falls under him. If you have treatments done here, right? So you do your radiation or your chemotherapy or whatever here, they cover it at 80% and you do a 20% copay. If you go overseas for those same treatments, you get it covered at 100%. But then that's more cost to the patient because the patient is having to do a hotel, probably a rental car. Normally they have to take someone with them, all of these additional costs, and they're away from the comfort of their home, their routine, and all this sort of thing. But yet Cynical will pay that at 100%, and locally, same treatment, only paid at 80%. I think that needs to be reversed. I mean, somehow in my mind, that does not make a lot of sense, especially knowing that we have a lot of options now. I think all 3 hospitals now have the option to do chemotherapy. HSA, Health City, HCCI, has the only radiotherapy center here in the Cayman Islands. And, patients are getting treated here. So why not make that coverage better than sending someone overseas? It's an area I think you need to look at. And I believe that it's Cynical, I was told, who is actually doing that. So something to consider. All right. So Barbara says many people are buying travel insurance and coming here specifically for medical attention that they cannot afford back home. No, well, I mean, that you're talking about medical tourism. I think that's a very different situation. Those people are using their own insurance or paying out of pocket because it is a lot cheaper for them to do that. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about work permit holders who are coming to the Cayman Islands. And one of the main reasons that they're coming is that they've got a diagnosis that they're sick. And so they find someone to take out a permit for them. Keep in mind, in a lot of instances, there's not even a real job, but they'll have someone take out a permit, with that mandatory that you take out insurance. And then all of a sudden they can now drop and exceed because, you get an annual benefit on a lot of these insurance plans. You get a lifetime benefit. They come here and they use that up for a sickness that is being treated. So that's not the same as I'm talking about. Medical, I want to be very clear here. Yes, Damien said it right. Medical tourism is different than what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just the average person, working a minimum wage job back in their country, making, $300, $400, $500, $600 a month US dollars, can't afford to get cancer treatments, which in their own countries is also very, very expensive. And they're going the option of getting a permit to come to Cayman to get on an insurance plan. And then they're discovering that they have a serious illness, which they knew about. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Here, it's like, oops, oh yeah, I've got cancer, but they knew it back home. They already knew that they were sick. So maybe we need to start doing some additional screening. I'm just saying. Include it in the medical, can't be that difficult. All right. So let me see here now. Thank you guys again so much for tuning into that segment. I know how engaged you were because, like I said, I'm sitting here looking at the live numbers and they spoke volumes. At one point, we had 557 persons tuned into the program. So we'll talk more about the SPS. I know that we have to do a deep dive into the proposed immigration changes as well. We need to look very, very closely at that. And, there's a lot that the government has going on. But let's go back to covering what actually transpired over the weekend. So before the ministers came on, I was talking about the shocking video of a woman being attacked on Friday. So needless to say, I received multiple versions of this. And when we got the last one, which showed what happened on the ground, right, where you could hear a little bit more of what was happening, you could see a little bit more of what was happening, and my gosh, I was so shocked, that this young man, yes, it probably wasn't the smartest thing for her to walk up to the vehicle, but at the same time, did he have to reverse it in full gear to basically drag this woman along the way? Absolutely not. I guess gone are the days when men had respect for women. And, I say this tentatively because, of course, I know that there have always been men who were abusive towards women, who would assault women. And I guess from that perspective, we need to be honest that this is something that we have struggled with, for as long as men and women have been around, I suppose. And this is an example of some sort of domestic situation. I'm afraid that I don't have all the details. There's a bit of back and forth about what happened and who did what, and how long-standing this is between them. What I want to say to this young lady, I don't know if she's listening this morning, but by all means, let me give you a little bit of advice. You want to, I don't know if you have a child with this man or what your long-standing connection is. Someone said you have a child with him that's a couple years old. Supposedly, you're no longer in a relationship with him, but there's a lot of back and forth, and there's a lot of, you getting in situations with other women because of him. Let me tell you something. First of all, look at him. Just look at him and give me a reason why you would be fighting over him with any woman or having any disagreement. This is the kind of man, let me be very clear. This is the kind of man, when someone comes up to you and says, well, he's my man, you say, girl, have him. I will throw you a party and then some for you to take him off my hands, for you to ensure that he never has a desire to ever message or call me again. Some of you women have to recognize that that is the best thing that you can do is, give a man away. Huh? We need to have a give a no good man away program, because I am flabbergasted when I see some of you trying to fight to keep something like this. It is not worth it. No, honey child. No stretch of the imagination is this man valuable in any way, shape, or form. Let somebody have him. Okay? Yeah. Take him off your hands, honey child. What on earth? I can't remember if these videos had any profanity in them, so I'm not going to play the full length. I'll mute them, I suppose. But it was just really, really shocking. And then, like I said, I was hearing some of the backstory, and I'm flabbergasted that anyone would try to think that this is, listen, he was saying something in the video about his money or his dad or something. Have no contact with this man. In fact, this is the kind of man that you don't even want him to know where you work. I understand that she may have broken her leg as a result of him, driving and reversing the way in which he did. I'm disappointed that you could beat a woman in public. And there are other men who are standing by who, for whatever reason, did not, stand up for her. And I suppose when other men looked at him, they themselves were like, we don't want nothing to do with him. He looks like he is a gangbanger. Can I just say that? There's absolutely nothing about this man that says that he probably doesn't have a weapon in his car kind of vibe. And if you actually look at the court history, indeed, this is a man who has a known history of engaging in alleged violent activity. Young ladies, do better for yourselves. And I'm not trying to blame this young lady, but what I'm saying is sometimes you invite trouble into your life with these no good men. So this is one angle from up above. People obviously, this happened at Cayman Bay of all places. I mean, y'all, somebody said, boy, y'all gonna make our poor white friend scared. It came out here in a minute. They were all looking out the window. And this is the new, what's the new building called? Capox or something? Capox? I don't know. The newest building. They're building another one right next to it. But all these people were looking out the window, filming this. Look at this. This is the aerial view from one of the office windows where he's reversing and practically is dragging her with the car. But look at the response from these guys. I mean, they walk by, and I mean, to be fair to them, this isn't the end of this piece here. But I don't see, even after she's dragged and thrown out, I don't really see them like running to her aid to help her get up and say, oh my gosh, they're walking very, very slowly. They kind of walk past her. Do they stop and say, lady, are you okay? Can we call 911? Can we call an ambulance? What can we do? Wow, they were not getting in anybody's business. This is a definition of what they say, mind your business. These people were taking that literal. They were minding their business, honey child, walking right by this poor woman. And I must say that actually I'm very disappointed to see that, because at this stage, the danger from him had passed. Why couldn't they offer her some assistance? Here we go again. This is the other view where you can hear him. And I think he used some profanity, so I'm just going to mute it. And this is where you kind of see her walk up to the car. And I guess she was trying to, what does she do with her foot? What does she do right there? She looks like she's stepping on something. But anyway, this is her. He's getting in his vehicle and she walks up to it. And, the door's open. And so then somehow she is blocking where she's standing. She's blocking the door she's holding the door open. And that is when they have some kind of words. And then he starts to, I wish the cameraman had just stayed focused on the car. He is trying to close the car door, to be fair to him. And she was actually in the way. And he starts to back up. Someone says it looks like she was getting her shoe. Girl, no, sir. And I mean, you working, I understand she works at Deloitte. Girl, you're now making everybody at work look at you like, what on earth is going on here? Y'all be throwing your lives away for waste men, like literally waste men. God, I can't believe it. So explain to me this part, right? This part of the video where he's in the bushes. I'm assuming this is where he's assaulting her. Does this happen before he drags her with the car? I'm assuming that's the chronology of events. So he's there on top of her, and it takes a minute for these guys to even try to pull her off. And then you see, boy, they scared of a fight though. Look at them, they backing up. They're like, listen, we don't want nothing. So I mean, she does get some assistance. And then he goes right back after her again. You see, these guys were just scared. Let's be honest. And is that when he then goes to his car to get in it and then she gets dragged? Yeah. Okay. So there he is assaulting her again. You see right there, she should have just walked away. Leave the shoe. Why are you going after the shoe, girl? So yes. So somebody said that's where she's going now, to get her shoe. And then he starts to, I see okay. All right. I see it now. Girl, no shoe would have been worth that. Oh my God, he could have killed you. He could have literally killed you. Because had she fallen and hit her head on that asphalt, make no two bones about it, she could have had a much more serious injury than just a broken leg. Okay, then we see other people now coming to check on her. So those three guys that walked past, it's a little bit fuzzy in terms of seeing exactly what they were doing, but then people come then to check on her. Where's the security guard in all of this? Is there a security guard here in this video? Because I'm a little bit like, Where's the security guard? I don't see any security. Is that him walking over now? Is that him right there in the khaki looking pants and the white shirt? So he's the last person to show up. OMG. This is next level crazy. Wow. Girl, just leave the shoes. Just call the police and leave the shoes alone. At that point, he already had assaulted her. So, you know, the police would have been dealing with it. This person says, okay, so this is a different about the child. So we're gonna get to that here in a second. We've actually reached out to the police about a statement in relation to that because someone says, no, Sandra, you know full and well that no security guard is coming between them. Security isn't paid enough. Good morning, by the way. In the video, I believe she was saying, give me my phone when she was by the door. And he said, give me my money. Is there any profanity in it? Can we play it before 9:30? I can't take a chance because I didn't really listen to the words, but anyhow, what a hot mess. So he had taken her phone. What is this all about? This is just crazy. Oh my Lord. Girl. So do we have any updates on her injuries? I mean, someone said on Friday that they heard that she had a broken leg or foot or something after that incident. Wow. Nosa. Oh my God. Shh. Lord have mercy. So that was Friday, lots of excitement. And I was literally getting on the plane Friday morning when all this was popping off. And like I said, I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't even get to watch the full video. I was like, what's going on here? What is this all about? So I basically just, posted it and said, what's going on? Cayman is no longer a real place. I can tell you that much. This is just shocking, unbelievable that we have women now being assaulted in the streets, at their place of work, no less. Like, wow, seriously. All right. So that happened. I'll see what additional information we can get. The police did confirm, of course, that they have arrested this guy. Let me show you who he is. I understand that he is involved in a number of assault incidents and so on. Somebody said he was involved in some chopping incident or something there in Georgetown. So this apparently is not his first go around with the rodeo. And he was actually out on bail. He was on police bail for another incident, and then this happened. So he might even be looking at having his bail revoked at this rate and be sent straight to jail. But this is him. What's his name again? Somebody told me his name the other day. I don't know these young cats, but they got some real problems. And someone said, listen, historically, he's had problems, multi-generational, parent on drugs and this and that and all sorts of stories. And I'm very, very sympathetic to people who've had a rough life. But at some point you become an adult and you have got to do better because the system is not going to continue to give you excuses for your own bad behavior simply because your mom on drugs. Sorry, but it's not going to cut it anymore. You either go and get help yourself. I mean, Jesus, he looks rough. Y'all attracted to some real ruffians. Lord Jesus. Oh, no, sir. Y'all didn't even pick good looking men. Can I tell you? Jesus, Lord have mercy. Anyway, you're not using any real criteria with these men. They don't look good. They have no morality. They're criminals. They're gangbangers or wannabe. They're just the most. And somehow y'all find them attractive. Like, I don't know what it is. I'm at a loss for what the deal is here. But there he is, now arrested for assaulting this woman. And no doubt we shall see what happens with this case. All right. Aisle 2025 says, you see security approach as he reverses the car. And I think in this picture, we're making out like maybe a few of those people standing up there now security guards. This is as the ambulance actually came to take her to the hospital. Marjorie, good morning, says, or even gotten in the way of the other vehicle that was passing the car when he dragged her with the car. Good morning to Miss Gina. El Rey says you have to listen to the audio to get more context. Yes, I'm hesitant to do that because I think there might be some profanity in it, so we can't listen to it till after 9:30. But yes, thank you, El Rey. She was wrong for doing that in the parking lot of her workplace. She should have run inside to seek shelter. Well, I mean, we don't see the very beginning of this. Like how did he get to the point where he was on top of her assaulting her? You know, I'm assuming he called her downstairs and she decided to go. Listen, some of y'all do need a course in avoiding certain situations, because if you have a tumultuous history with this man, I no doubt would believe that this is not the first time that he is on the ground assaulting her and choking her. She's probably had to deal with this throughout the relationship, and that's why she left and went all the way to East End. And now, you know, this kind of guy calls you to come downstairs. I ain't coming downstairs. I ain't not coming downstairs. You no, we not having no conversation. That is simply not going to work. Sandy, I heard it's her car, and he took her phone and she was trying to get it back. Her car that he's driving? Oh, wow. What a mess. Damien says that building is where Auger and other companies closer to the New Health City. Yeah, I think this is right where the newest building is. I think that's where Deloitte is in there as well as Auger. And it's the one that the parking lot has the solar panels on it. Really disgraceful. Plain and Straight says he looks like he's crazy, and they probably did not want to take the chance that he would pull out a knife or a machete and attack them. But you're right, they did not act like she needed help. And in fact, Plain and Straight, I think what he's on bail for, if the street sources are accurate, is for a knife attack on someone else. So I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that he's probably always carrying something on him. But this is truly just absolutely shocking. Neela says, true, Sandy. I think he had something on him because one guy approached him to put a stop, but you can clearly see when the abuser walked up to him, you could see the fear. And this is always the issue, unfortunately, with these situations. Why I sometimes am very, very hesitant to judge, bystanders not assisting because, they don't want their lives to be taken. And that's not, it happens. John says, yes, she works at Deloitte, I believe, in HR. Lord Jesus. That's not the Kapuk. No, the Kapuk one is over by CNB, right? Oh, I get confused with the name of the buildings. No, this one is actually called something else. This one is called something else. So I think his father's nickname, Damien, is Butcher, from what someone's saying to me. Ugh, what a mix-up situation. Neela says domestic abuse is a chronic problem on our islands, and it goes both ways, and sometimes it's fear for their families and for themselves why these women stay even when they really want to leave. For Small Island, abuse of every kind is a major issue, and unfortunately, Neelis, you're absolutely right. It happens, and it's shocking the degree of frequency. Carnett says that you need to give yourself a kaboom. Oh, thank you, honey chill. There we go. Thank you. Barbara says I had to get chemo treatments, and the doctor in the U.S. said that I had to stay there for 6 months. I took a flight home, and they had no choice but to send my records back. My treatments were so much better and easier at HSA that I didn't have 1 day of nausea. Great thanks to Nurse Cindy. Yeah, something they definitely need to have a look at is, making the options here. John LaRue, typical Caymanian foolishness, his nickname. Yeah, I think somebody said his father's nickname is Butcher, but what a mix-up. What a damn mix-up situation. Lord have mercy. Y'all need to do better. Ugh. Wow. Irvelin says someone lost their life in Jamaica yesterday trying to break up a fight, not getting in their business. Yes, it's sad, but this is, most people in this day and age see something and they're not going to get involved. Plain and Straight says, to be fair, the guy in the black shirt that walked across her was the guy who pulled the crazy man off her. And then he also tried to stop her from approaching the car. Oh, did he? I think I missed that. Yeah, that would have been some good advice had she taken it. Good morning, Miss Gina. Says young ladies of the world today seem to be setting a very low bar for themselves. Unfortunately. Ugh. Can you imagine having children with some of these guys and then you're tied to them for life because of the child? Oh my God. Katrina says he was saying that she stole his money. Where he get money from? He got a job? Plain and Straight says, remember the song that says, I don't want no scrub? Hello. Yep. Jay says, even if the security was there at the time, he probably would have assaulted the security also. Security officer off to protect themselves too, have to protect themselves too. Yeah. And I mean, it's not like they're able to carry any kind of weapons themselves, right? So they just run the opposite way. Marjorie says he spoke to the guys. Maybe he threatened them too. Yes, John, 60 Nexus Way. Thank you. I could not remember the name of the new building. Yeah. They just named it like after the street or something weird, right? 60 Nexus Way. Good morning, Miss Sue. So that was one hot mess on Friday. And let me see here now. Oh, did we get the cursing out of it? Hold on. I think we have a yes, we have a curse-free version. So let's have a look then. Let's have a look-see, shall we? All right, and I think this is a compilation video as well. All right.
Stop. Come on. Go. What the Hey!
OMG. Yeah, so he says something about his blinkety blink money. Ay. Oh my God. Yeah, she has a child with this guy. Wow, that's got to be torture. Ugh, lifetime of drama. Damn. It's embarrassing. This person says, what an embarrassment for the woman. It's horrible. I mean, I guess he's not going to get embarrassed, but girl, you work in a professional office environment and this has just been brought to your office now. This is next level. This is no bueno. Oh, we're going into overtime this morning for radio listeners. If you want to tune in, please do so. And yeah, I'm giving y'all a little bit extra time this morning because I had a Cut Friday show. Now, listen, we're going to have a problem. Y'all do realize this, because y'all get spoilt by all this overtime. And the problem with it is once we start the structure of CMR TV and radio, there's like a show potentially right after me. Y'all going to have to start getting used to ending the show at 9:30. I know y'all like, you got to be joking, right? All right, so here are some of your comments on this hot mess here. Give me 1 second. Let me pull them up. This person makes some very, very interesting observations. They say there's a lot of women, though, Sandra, low self-esteem. That's a lot of women, low self-esteem. They choose these thuggy men because a lot of them feel they can fix them. Child, please. You can't fix what the system couldn't fix. Seems easier than facing and fixing their own demons. And another thing, too, Sandra, some men don't want to get involved because they know the woman will go back to the man. True, true, true. So what would be the point of intervening? Abuse also often follows a predictable pattern. Tension builds, arguments, criticism, control. Number 2, explosion, verbal, emotional, or physical violence. Number 3, remorse, apologies, gifts, promises to change. Number 4, calm, honeymoon phase, temporary peace before tension builds again. Not saying in this case particularly, but in general, people don't want to get involved. What an embarrassment for the woman. And it's an embarrassment for Caymanians as well, because not for nothing, but all of us are sitting here going, Lord Jesus, take the wheel and then some. Take the whole bus, honey child. Take the whole bus. All right. Another person has some observations. They say, good morning, sis. Look again. The 3 men who walked away while she was in the street are the guys that assisted her before she's being assaulted in the bush. If you look at the video again, you see where when they pulled him off of her, it appears if he wanted to fight them too. Maybe that is why they walked off and did not do anything further when she was dragged in the road. Well, at that point, though, she was dragged in the road. He already had driven off, reversed in a flurry. So I think that they could have probably assisted her at that point without any fear of him coming back. Hopefully. He might have come back with the car then, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, someone pointed out, y'all are sleuth detectives, man. Y'all need a promotion. Let me show you what this keen eye viewer to the program made the following observation. So we're going to get kicked off on radio here. We'll be online. So they say, look at this picture now. You'll see after he started reversing, you could see the shoe in the road. So she was trying to get her shoe, I guess, to go back to work. Lord, have mercy. What a hot mess. Hi, good morning, caller.
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad. How are you? Did you have a good weekend?
It was okay. Can't complain.
Okay, good.
No, I wanted to talk about the this whole thing about because this can't be the first time that this woman had some run-in with this guy, right? And to me, I just think of red flags and how often people, especially women, ignore red flags in relationships.
Yep.
And it's often due to, this hope that they hold on to that they can fix them.
Mm-hmm.
And a certain level of conditioning and then fear. And then when you've already emotionally invested in this person, you just keep going back to them, right? You ever heard of something called a trauma bond?
Yep, absolutely. Dr. Carlos mentioned it, I think, once or twice when he was on the show. And it's real. Stockholm syndrome, trauma bond. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes we bond with people because we feel like, all right, well, I can't find no better. Or, at least they love me, or they grow up seeing things, like when mothers get abused and fathers get, many times it's mothers, fathers get abused too. And they grow up seeing that, and then they think that that's love.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's not love.
Oh.
It is, it's crazy is what it is. And I really, really hope that, I'm sure there are young women who listen to this program. I hope that they realize, listen, it's bad enough when you yourself have your own demons and you've got issues, right? But the worst thing you could possibly do is to get involved with somebody else that has more issues than you, or even the same amount of issues as you. I mean, sometimes not for nothing, you've got to recognize that you need to work on yourself. And what that means is you need to stay away from certain people. Like this desire to be attracted to crazy. And I think all of us relationship wise have kind of gone through this at some point or another, but if you don't recognize the pattern, if there is a pattern quickly and do better, this is what your life is like. You're a big woman and you've got a daughter or son or whatever. I don't know what child she has, but you know, you're exposing your children to total chaos. Don't have children. Listen, use a condom. What I say, a condom could have prevented this. Start using birth control, y'all. Don't have children with people like this. Don't have them in your life forever. Because once you have a child with them, you have them in your life forever. Oh my God!
But then it goes back to this fear of being alone or being judged, right? Because I think here in Cayman, right, women especially, they're judged by their relationship status, right? So if they don't have a man, or if they don't have a relationship, or they don't have a husband, a lot of women, society will, well, something must be wrong with her. Why she not with nobody? She probably can't keep no man. She this and that and things.
Yeah.
So what happens is, right? Leaving or calling out the bad behavior feels like failure, right? So you might, she might have thoughts like, well, what if nobody else wants me? Or everybody think I'm too dramatic. Or, you know, she might even say, well, at least it's better than being single. So when she has this voice telling her inside, you know, no, you're not, you're being abused. You don't belong in this situation, right? You know, I believe that there's a degree of social conditioning that silences that inner voice.
That's interesting. It's very, very interesting, because you're right. When you're not in a relationship, people think there's something wrong with you. And I'm like, and in fact, just yesterday I saw a statistic that 1 in 4 adults, this is probably for America, but you know, we can extend it to ourselves. 1 in 4 adults is going to remain, you know, single for their life. Yeah. 1 in 4. That's a pretty, that's like 25%. And I don't really know what the issue is.
But that type of social, it's also paired with, because, you know, a lot of abusers are skilled manipulators, you know, Sandra, right? And what they'll do is that consciously or unconsciously, they'll deliberately blur those red flags. So they're going to look something like this, right? He might convince her that she's just imagining things, what they call gaslighting, right? And then they're going to overwhelm her with all the kind of affection after hurting her. Oh, you know, baby, I didn't mean it. You know, I'm so sorry. I love you so much. You know, we can make it. I just need to, I just need to get through this. You know, I'm going through a rough time. And then he starts to, like I said, overwhelm her with all this affection. Or sometimes he might say, well, you made me angry. It's your fault that, you see, if you just did what I had to tell you to do, if you just give me my stuff, I wouldn't have to hit you. You're being too sensitive. And what these do is that they destroy her trust in her own instincts, right? So she stops recognizing red flags. And then another thing they do is they like to isolate them. So they might cut them off from their friends or cut them off from their family. So now what happens is that she loses. And this is the message I'd like for all the young women who are listening to hear, right? I mean, ideally, choose better for yourself.
Yes.
But whichever man you end up choosing, do not cut off contact from your family and your friends, because they act like a mirror. Because sometimes when you're in it in the relationship, you don't see these things, but people on the outside see it. And those people act as your mirror. Don't allow anybody to cut you off from your friends, from your family, because they're the ones who will ground you and can sometimes even pull you out of a situation when it gets too deep.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And a lot of our teens, and I think that we need to have some real intervention programs geared towards teenagers, because unfortunately their very, very first relationships are so incredibly toxic that it sets a pattern for a lifelong of, this is what I'm going to accept. You know, this is my value in relationships, and they're starting too young. I think, you know, I don't think any 16-year-old should be in a relationship, to be quite honest. It's too young. There's a lot of issues with emotional regulation and all of these types of things. And those teenage years are ripe for these guys who are young and stupid themselves trying to prove something to their friends and trying to be, all this bravado and whatever. And, it's a recipe for disaster. And a lot of young girls get mixed up in situations at a very, very young age. And it's unfortunate because then it sets the tone for what their future relationships will look like. And, not for nothing, I think Cayman is so small that once one guy knows that you were in an abusive relationship previously and you tolerated that, he's going to be like, oh, well, I can treat her just a smidgen better than that last guy who used to beat on her and whatever, and she's going to stay. Don't raise the bar, set it higher for yourself. And my advice would be to not even get involved in relationships at that younger age, because y'all can't handle it. None of us could, I didn't get involved in my first relationship until I was like 19 years old. And even then, you do things and you react to certain situations that shows your immaturity. And I get it that we all have to go through some degree of that. But, y'all are just, it's horrible. It's horrible. Thank you so much, caller.
No problem. Have a good day.
Thank you. This person says this is embarrassing for all of us. They paint all of us with the same brush. The problem I have is I love my peace and quiet, and I safeguard my energy. That's not a problem, honey child. That's a must-have in this day and age, because unfortunately, more and more we find that But listen. You can love your peace and quiet because you used to that. You've had it. I think that what's happening with some of these young people is they have not been exposed to that. That's why I keep telling you as parents, you're setting your children up for failure when you yourself introduce them to chaotic households, chaotic relationships. You know that a girl is like 75, 80% more likely to get involved in one of these types of relationships where a man is beating on her and abusing her, whether emotionally, psychologically, financially, or even physically, if she grew up in a household where that was the norm in her household as well. So she grew up seeing that behavior. So mothers, listen to me and listen to me good. You are better off being a single mother on your own and that being your struggle, as opposed to being in a relationship with a no good SOB who is beating on you and treating you like shit and making your daughters and your sons see this. Because as equally correct the statistical information is, if your daughter is exposed to this, they will become victims themselves of abusive boyfriends and husbands and so on. Your sons, if you expose your sons to this, they will become abusers. The chances of that happening is extremely high. When they grow up seeing this behavior, they will turn around and emulate it and repeat it time and time and time again, unless they get therapy. So do not expose your children to this. This is why I keep saying, as a community, I wish that we could really learn how to be gentler with our children, right? A gentle parenting. It doesn't mean that, people are perfect or anything like that, but approach it from a gentler perspective, and you will raise different types of people who are not used to violence. They're not, and when you're not used to something like that, here's the thing about it, right? As the last caller said, trauma bonding, Stockholm syndrome, like all these things happen. They're realities, right? But when you're not used to that, and all of a sudden somebody approaches you with that kind of energy and that kind of behavior, your instinct should be to run. Because I'm not used to people yelling and screaming at me. This isn't right. You're able to recognize it a lot sooner as being completely wrong. Like, this isn't right. This isn't, as opposed to someone who's had all this trauma as a child and who is then, Dr. Sarah, this is going to be your topic for Wednesday when she comes on the show. You have all this trauma as a child, and then the trauma just continues. into your adulthood, and you accept it. You're more likely to accept it when that is what you've been exposed to, because at some level, that is all you know, as they say. So without a doubt, you know, I would say, my God, parents, do your part as well to try to avoid your children being exposed to this sort of thing. It's very sad. This person says, no issue. I choose to be single and I'm not lonely. We need to normalize that not everyone needs or wants to be in a relationship, and they live happy, productive, fulfilling lives with strong family and friendship groups. Yeah. In fact, the statistics show that single people who never have children, or even if they're married and they just never have children, they're actually happier than the rest of us, apparently, because having children stresses out your life, and it's a lifelong stress. And you know, being in relationships add a different element of stress to your life. Some people they like to have their own space. They like to do their own thing. And quite frankly, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I agree. Let us normalize the ability for people to just be single. You know, it's so crazy. People want to be rolling up in you. Oh, when are you going to have a child? When are you going? First of y'all, some of y'all need to mind your own business. Not everybody wants to be a parent. Okay. If you see someone in their 30s and 40s and they haven't had a child, there could be a number of reasons why that happened. Maybe, you know, they've been struggling with fertility issues, and maybe, just maybe, they don't even want a child. They're like, nope, I don't want that in my life. I'm good. I want to travel. I want to see the best of the world. You know, my own money's me. I want to do and live on my own terms. And that is perfectly fine. As long as that person's healthy and happy, what do we care if they don't have a relationship? I do think that society overemphasizes the necessity to have a man or have a woman. It really, it's just too much sometimes, right? And that's why even when I see people talking, oh my God, this person get a divorce, I'm like, so? They tried it. They lasted for 10 years. Hell, that's a long time. Good on them. Didn't work out. Keep the shit moving. Go find somebody else. People transition. They change in life. You know, to me, getting a divorce is not that big of a deal. I'll be honest with you. It's more like, we tried it. And, you know, you tried a thing and it just didn't work. So just move on if you have to. If you're not happy, life is too short to be stuck in other people's fairy tales, other people's stories that have nothing to do with you. You know how many people I know in society who they only stay married because society might think this of me or that of me. I'm like, who cares what society thinks? The hell with society. Society ain't paying your bills. Society isn't laying down at night with you in bed, right? So it's just crazy. But I wish this young lady the best. Let me see. I've got an update on her condition. So Caribbean Girl 345 says, I heard that he went to her job to collect money. So I'm not sure how true that is. Also says some women love that type of treatment. Unfortunately, I don't know that they love it, but they certainly get used to it and they allow it to be this repetitive pattern. She said, give me my phone if you listen closely. What a hot mess. It's sad. And she's going to lose her job, says Caribbean Girl. Well, let me tell you something now. She is going to be very, very lucky if she does not lose her job, because I can tell you that some people, some of these companies, they don't tolerate this kind of foolishness. Nope. They don't even care that he assaulted you. They're like, you do not bring this shit to our workplace. Like, seriously, you do not, because this is not what we are all about. This puts the health and wellness of other people. Like, she's going to have to now go in there, I suspect, and argue as to why she should keep her job. And of course, she's got a child to feed, at least one. So this is a very, very sad situation. So I've gotten confirmation that she has a broken ankle and is in a lot of pain. Wow, so sad. Okay, let me just see. We're getting some other messages here. I want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. All right. So let's move on from that story. Ms. Gina says, young ladies, please love yourselves first and most of all with your head and not your heart. The majority of these guys are just using you all. You all had better wake up. Thank you, Ms. Gina, for that very, very good advice. Robert says, yes, my belief is you need to learn to love yourself first, 1,000%. And again, this goes back to if you're raising children who have never learned self-love, you know, because they were in environments that were toxic and they were constantly being torn down by other people. This is the outcome, unfortunately. They will pick up any and everything. Damien says, or they will say that she's a lesbian, or if it's a guy that he's gay, just because you're not in a relationship. Yeah. Miss Sherry Ann, good morning, dear. How are you? Hill Construction, you're in a totally different conversation now. He's talking about Ralston. We'll pass those messages on to Mr. Anglin. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear. Miss Carrie says, get a cat. You will never be or feel alone. No drama, abuse of any kind. Cherry in the top. Miss Carrie, I don't know what your obsession is these days with these fake penises, but you must have gotten yourself a really good one, because I've seen your videos circulating where you're talking about how good they is to you. Girl, okay. I'm going to just leave that right there. You know, you can, I don't even want to go down that. That's for the After Dark show that somebody needs to host. Any volunteers? Anybody wants to do a relationship and After Dark show for CMR TV? Hit me up. What a mess. Tartarian says that's a kaboom. If a man not got a woman and came out, they think he's gay. Stupid. Absolutely. Absolutely. Marjorie says, what a brilliant guy. He could be a counselor. Kaboom for him. That was our caller. Kaboom! I'm sure he appreciates it. Yes, he's very emotionally in tune with a lot of stuff. Some of y'all need to take that to task. Emotional abuse and controlling behavior, says Damien. Big kaboom for that caller, says Jessica. Thank you, Miss Jessica. Another request from Miss Ethel says kaboom. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm catching up on the comments. He's getting so many kabooms. Mess with you, honey child. People always love when he calls in because he's sensible, but also, you know, intelligent. We got a couple of people in love with him. They're like, Sandy, tell me who he is. Can I get his number? I'm like, no, you can't. I must admit that it is refreshing to hear a man in particular speak with such sense when it comes to things, relationship. You know, men are like, oh, we'll talk about the economy and this and that. But when a man is emotionally in tune with himself and the world, and he can see these situations and add some proper context to it, I totally get why you guys want to have a kaboom. The first time I met him many, many moons ago, many years ago, I remember having a conversation, my first conversation with him, and I too was taken aback by how the connection, you know, he speaks really eloquently, but he makes so much logical sense. You know, come to think of it, he should do a show on CMR. I mean, I'm just saying, maybe he's the one to do the After Dark relationship show. You think I could convince him? Oh my God. I've just had a brilliant idea. You know, I think we could work something out. Let's talk. We'll do it over dinner. I think you'd actually be really good for that show. Something to talk about. Abby says, happily child-free, spa days, much better than daycare. I feel you, girl. I hear you. They're asking when you're going to have a child, like they're going to take care of them. That's what I used to say too. I used to be like, You're asking me because you got the budget and the money to put this child in school and buy all the things that children want and like and da-da-da. I don't think so. Shannon, good morning, darling. Says every woman has a choice and deserves to choose if they want a child. It's not for everyone. Tartarian says they don't want good men that wear necktie and a suit. They want gangsters with their backside showing and poor vocabulary. Ugh. Again, because, not for nothing, but probably daddy was the same. And they grew up in these types of chaotic environment. Lucky Body, be like Jennifer Lopez. Don't stick around if the marriage is not working. Oh, poor J-Lo. But the problem with somebody like J-Lo is she has not learned how to be by herself. And I mean, she can afford to just divorce them and have him sign an NDA and give him $500,000 and they go away or whatever. But if J-Lo could learn to self-love, I do think the reason why she is always in a relationship is she's never learned to just enjoy her company. There's something to be said for that, not for nothing, but talking about celebrities, even Chloe, she was bouncing like from one relationship to the next, picking all the wrong guys. Poor Lamar. She got married to him at 25 after meeting him and knowing him for only 30 days. That's not enough time to know much about anybody, quite frankly. And then she went on to eventually to that idiot Tristan. And then she was at Santana, whatever the heck his name was. Montana, what's his name? Whatever, him. And it's like they pick all the wrong people. I mean, I know they're in a particular circle. And then she went on to some other basketball player dude that was like really tall. Most of those guys, not for nothing, but most of them are not intelligent, like emotionally intelligent. They're in a sport because they just had a physical ability. But probably sitting down having a conversation with them is like talking to a brick wall. So pick better. It just, yeah, they have money and I guess they can take care of their kids as long as they're playing basketball, because most of them are so stupid that they end up, once they're done at basketball, the money tanks because they've spent it stupid and they didn't have a plan B with their lives. They don't have any kind of degree to fall on. They didn't manage their finances. They didn't hire the proper person to manage it. Ugh. But she's been alone now, saying that she's focusing on just her kids and raising her children after Tristan mistreated her for the 100th time. And but those Kardashians are so weird. One thing with them though is they really want to keep the exes in their lives and have a good relationship, co-parenting. I'm like, okay then. But she's been single for a minute. People ask, what's going on in the relationship front? Leave the woman alone. She don't need no man. See how bad she's been picking them over the years? She don't need no more until she's like 60. Good grief. I mean, Carrie says she loves her artificial penises, her dildos. My God, what a mess. Okay. There was a time you couldn't even bring them into Cayman. So I'm surprised. I guess for personal use, you now can, but you can't. Can you still not sell them here? Or is there now a market here for them? Well, whatever makes you happy, honey child. I mean, it's not going to abuse you, I don't think. Neela says he speaks with eloquence, Sandy. Now that's a healed, proper man. You understand? Do better. I love him. He's my boyfriend, my BFF. And no, you can't have his number. Oh, Shannon, you know him? Oh, okay. I read that as boyfriend at first. He's my BFF. Yes, sir. She keeping him all to herself. No, you cannot have him. Oh my God, you guys are so funny. I love it. I love it. Can you please inform victims of the available resources? Oh, thank you, Monique. Thank you. Yes. Women's Resource Center, I believe, is a resource. And then outside of that, there is the Crisis Center. So the Women's Resource Center has options. There is the Domestic Violence Support Hotline. Monique, appreciate you. You can go to thehotline.org and they have details there. There's an 800 number that you can call, and then you can chat to people and stuff there as well. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is manned in Texas. Is this toll free from Cayman? Oh, I don't think this is. I don't know if this is toll free from here, but they do have a chat option. That's probably in the States. Hold on. Let me look at Cayman. We have the Crisis Center here in Cayman. So their website is cicc.ky, Crisis Center Cayman Islands. I think they're kind of the best source because they can even help you with like temporary housing requirements and stuff like that. So they have a new emergency shelter. You know, we got to get them talking about this kind of stuff more. Who's head the board? 24-hour crisis line 943-2422. Thank you so much, Monique, for reminding us to provide these details. They have a Stella's Place. They have an outreach program, which I think they need to do more outreach because I even had forgotten about them for a second there. Emergency shelter. They have a youth and children's program, aftercare, and they have a Taya Lounge as well. So there's no reason for you to stay in a domestic relationship, a poor domestic relationship. There are options for you. Oh, you're calling? Sorry, hold on. I was charging the phone because I forgot to charge it over the weekend. 1 second. Let me plug it back into the board. All right. I love these fast chargers that they have now. They're amazing. Like in 20 minutes, you can practically have a full charge in an iPhone. Okay. Hold on, honey chill. Let me plug the phone back in. There we go. All righty. Let me see now. Call back, honey chill. Alice, good morning to you, my darling. Ms. Monique says it's imperative to have a safe place, as the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship is when a woman tries to leave. Absolutely. 100%. Why is it ring with your CMR? Were you trying to call Miss Lucille? Okay, call back. Oh gosh, even Mr. Dexter called this morning. Hot mess. But why is it not? Hello, caller?
Yes.
Oh, there you are.
Morning. How y'all doing? Well, we all
Good.
looking fine today. Yes, that guy. Yeah, you should convince him to do a show, an after-hours show. He would do that would be great. I would be his top fan for sure. And as for mechanical devices, like Miss Ethel Fellner said in the comments, you ain't gotta worry about no diseases or any foolishness, no talk back and all that. So you want. When I look at our young women and I saw that situation with that video, I was very, very upset about it because I have, at my age, I've seen so many women way younger than me still going through that. Some in their 30s and 40s still being abused by men and taking crap, being, living with all these narcissists that just do not know how to treat a woman. Men don't understand that when a woman loves you, oh my God, that love is so deep. You have no idea how deep that is. And then when you take and you abuse that love against them, then, and they eventually walk away and they had enough and that's it. And they find their happiness somewhere else. And first of all, I would recommend, like Robert Tatum said, you need to love yourself first. And a lot of our women grew up in homes where there was no love. They didn't know what love was. They didn't know how to love themselves. They didn't see their dad loving on their mom or their mom loving on their dad. All they saw was arguments, fights, constant put down, calling him this name, he calling her that name. That's the environment a lot of our Caribbean women grew up in, and it's not just the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
It's a Caribbean culture.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of those women tend to gravitate to those bad relationships. They look at him and he look at you and he smile at you. When a man smile at you, girl, run. When a man smile at you, just run. That's
Well,
my point. I'm being honest.
I mean,
Because
not all
you
men,
want
not all
something.
men are the same, Carrie. So let's.
I agree there. But majority of them
Oh
will
Lord,
look
have
at you and
mercy.
smile at you and they only want something from you. They're not coming to bring you something of goodness. Most men in the Caribbean, they're coming to get something from you. So
Uh-huh.
when you love yourself beyond all those boundaries, you will just look at them, smile back, and keep your journey. You don't need to stop and get trip up and bung up and hit up and pregnant. Well, I would have loved to have been pregnant, God knows. But you know what? I have cats. Cats are fine. They're my children. I got 2-year-olds for life in my house because that's their age group. No matter how old they get, they're still at
That's what they say
2-year-old
about dogs
mindset.
too. That the average dog is the equivalent of their intellectual level is the equivalent of a toddler of a 2-year-old.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you find your niche in life, and I found mine. I turned my house into a sanctuary, and I love them little scruffs. They give me trouble all night, but that's okay. I'm sleeping, so I don't see it. In the morning, I deal with it, and they come love on you. You feed them, you care for them. They're very awesome little animals to have. So if you're lonely, get a cat. The Humane Society always needing foster moms and dads and adoptions are there and everything else. Go get a cat. Trust me.
Or a dog.
Your
Dogs
life
are
will
available
change.
too.
Dogs too. Don't get me wrong. I raised up with dogs.
Yeah.
I love dogs. I just gravitated to cats when I got older, much older. So anyway, I hope she works out this situation. I hope that nobody fires her. I really would not encourage that because she's a mom.
Yeah.
And obviously he had deadbeat father talking about she stole him money. Probably nothing to the case, and probably not got no job himself and using her car driving up and down with looking at the woman all day long. Typical mindset of some of them men. I know walk out in a crowd publicly and trying to condemn her. That's how I'm feeling the vibe off of that video, Sandra. Because look at how long he had her down that bush beating on her. She's lucky she didn't have some kind of brain trauma. And I hope it works out. And whoever her employer is over there, I hope you do not fire her. She has to put food on the table for her and her child. And that'll be one less up in the DFA getting help from the government if she still maintains her job. I mean, if anything, get her some counseling, a good employer. I had an employee one time that was getting very abused by their spouse, and I got them counseling. I paid for them to go to counseling because I couldn't take it anymore. Every morning she come into work crying and can't a whole hour in the bathroom and and I felt it for her and I said, look, I'm gonna pay for you to go to counseling. And she divorced him. She got out of it. She rose up out of that mess. And that's probably what they should do is help her along the way, give her some counseling for her and her child. Maybe the child is also in the home, seeing that abuse that he's putting out on the mother as well. I don't know, but don't fire her. She made her job.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, hopefully not, but I think some of these young ladies need to recognize that there are consequences when stuff like this happens at your workplace. Because let me tell you something, some employers don't play.
I know.
Some employers do not, and they don't want to even hear the meow and the back and forth. They're like, we don't care who's, It reminds me of this young lady who, remember when they accused me of stealing the young lady who that dog belonged to?
Yeah.
I can't remember her name now. What the hell was her name?
I know who you're talking about.
Oh Lord! But anyway, she was what the hell? Leanne Dakins.
The dog that the Filipino helper had let out. Yeah.
No. They didn't have no Filipino helper. The dog just got out himself because he was sick and tired of them treating him like shit.
Oh, that's right.
Turns out she lived across the street practically with her 2 young children, right? But Leanne, years later, I remember her BFF at the time, Janitzi, and her were like tight like this. So Janitzi was all over CNS cussing me out about, I tried to steal the woman's dog and this and that. I'm like, who the fuck steals a dog? Like, seriously. Y'all are next level stupid. Like, who steals a damn dog?
Dog need to be stolen.
Trust me. Well, I tell you what, if one needed to be stolen, it was him, poor thing. Her. Talking about her name, Delilah. I was like, ugh. Anyway, I had to call the dog Precious because when you looked at all, you could say it was Precious because she had look a hot mess. But anyway, at least steal a good looking dog. Y'all so stupid. But anyway, they were BFFs at the time. And then years later, there was some mix up story where she was talking to Janitzi, man, off and on again, whatever. And Janitzi went to her workplace at Walker's and beat her ass in the parking lot for trying to deal with her man. And guess what? You think Maples cared who beat who over what man and what the mix-up story was? Let me assure you, Maples said,
Yeah, Maples, they're completely different kettle of fish.
Let
they
me tell
ain't
you.
humane, demonic. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, they wasn't putting none of that shit at their workplace. They're like, you don't bring this to our workplace. Pick up your stuff. And they didn't care that she was a mother of 2. I think at the time she might have still had a husband. I don't even sure if Jose had left her yet. I don't even know. But anyway, they were like, pick up your shit and get out of here. Because these workplaces don't want this drama. And I mean, I can't say that I blame them. Janitzi, she lucky that she was able to keep her job because, you know, she got a good deal over at DMS apparently.
But who brought the argument to Maples?
Well, Janitzi came to Walker's to beat Leanne's behind. So she came there.
So she was working for Maples.
Right.
Janitzi.
Leanne was working for Maples.
Yeah, well, then you'll
no,
ask
not
Grass.
Janitzi. Leanne was working for Maples. And Maples, not Maples, Walker's. My apologies, it was Walker's. Walker's let her go. They were not joking. And they didn't want to hear the story. They wasn't going to take sides. They were not going to be an adjudicator.
Yeah, that kind of situation, yeah, where she went and created a fight.
No, but it wasn't. It was even the girl who created it. It was the one who brought it to Walker's. She still had a job because she worked for DMS. So I don't know what she told them, but she kept her job. It was the young lady who worked for the law firm that got canned. But Maples didn't. I keep calling Maples. Walker's did not care who brought it, Carrie, come, whatever. They're like, don't bring this shit to our workplace. You're out of here. And that was it.
So when their big partners got all kind of shit going on up in there with all kind of.
But hold on now. To be fair to them,
should be brought there. They don't look at that.
No. Once it is divulged, because remember, Maples did the same thing to the partner who went and beat up his wife in Florida and got away with it in the end. He had his walking papers. Of course they did.
Oh, well, good for him.
Of course. He had to go, honey child.
Good for them for letting him go.
He was out the door. They don't
example,
like no bad press or no drama at their workplace. You're there to do their work. And if you're not focused on doing whatever legal work you got to do, they're like, no, honey child, get the hell out of here.
No, I agree with that. But if somebody comes to your office where you're working and causes drama for you and want to fight you in the parking lot and stuff, that's not really your fault. You didn't invite them there.
Well,
so
you
that should not be held against you.
I guess the way that they look at it is you should not even have gone down there to fight nobody. Stay in your work cubicle.
Well, you don't know the situation. Maybe you're just going for lunch and they're attacking you. You don't know.
Well, I'm sure
the situation.
Knowing.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate and save somebody's job there.
Listen, knowing how hot-tempered Janitzi was, she would have already texted her, call and said, "Bitch, I coming to beat your ass right now." So.
Okay.
Leanne should have known not to go downstairs, honey child. She should have known.
In that case, yeah, she should have stayed out of trouble.
Miss Marnie trying to call from the UK, so let me grab her.
Okay, bye.
All right. Yes, Miss Lucille, that was Carrie taking up the little time on the air. Don't blame me. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Sienna.
Hello, darling.
I was close by that gentleman that spoke this morning about cutting off family because of man and husband. God haven't cut people off. So I don't care who. And I hear you talk about they throw away man. I have one that I would help to throw him up in the dump. Not my man, but to get him out my life and my way because he's in my family life. And all you hear the man talk about manipulation, that's exactly what you're going through. And because of shame, they take themselves pride up in church to cover up the embarrassment and the shame. I don't care who hear me this morning because they can come and bust my ass. I don't care. They can cut me off as much. I don't care. You understand? Because I'm a woman and I don't teach none of my family. I have 4 girls and 1 boy. And I don't teach none of them to stay no abusive relationship. Mentally abuse is worse than physical abuse. You understand? I want the whole world to hear it this morning. And who don't like it, they can come beat me. You understand? And the pastor them down there, I don't know what they're telling the members. Because abusive relationship is just as sin. But because of the pastor, them is no fucking good themselves. That's why they have people up in the church and taking them to an idiot up inside. Tell them come for me this morning. I know, and all of them know who I'm talking about. Everybody know they want me call name this one. If I get too angry, I will fucking call name. I have enough because I'm suffering through it myself. You understand? Because what hurt them hurt me too.
Oh,
you get me?
Yes.
So I want the pastor down there to listen. A dentist fucking pastor. Oh no, when people pick the lock up in on a fucking church and telling them shit. You understand? Tell them get out of abusive relationship. Mentally abuse is worse than physical. You understand? And I want them here to who don't like it, brother, sister, any motherfucking soul who cannot come for me. Or the fucking lose up my daughter alone.
Oh my.
I'm going.
My
I'm
God.
going.
Y'all got
I'm
Miss
going.
Lucille cussing this
I'm
morning.
going this
My
morning.
dear,
I'm
don't.
going. I'm going.
Oh, what you
I
say?
call
Them
back some
churches
other
not no
time.
good.
So who
Some of
want
them
cut
churches
me
not no
off,
good.
cut me off, block me any fucking time when you want. When it's my fucking blood. And I'm hurt. Oh.
Oh my God. I can hear the pain, honey child. Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, she hung up already, poor thing. She's hurting because of a situation with her daughter. And they got her daughter mind all twisted and confused. She said Adventist pastor do that? Lord God. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Lucille, my friend.
Miss Speechless this morning.
I calling you.
Yes.
You text me this morning, but I never get back. Don't get a heart attack, please, because I can't come England because I can't take that flight. Calm down. I understand the situation. And I know frustration is and the devil is visible.
Yeah.
I know she don't play, and I know she like me when she get out and coming back to Genesis. Genesis is a fight like a family to me. Wow. And they would be your her and her sister that said they don't care if you do them something, they will come and put you out. So they better be careful with them because they got
not for nothing. I mean, I think Janitsi might be trying these days, but her and that Mario boy been in mix up for years. He always screwing something else other than her. And she's not with him no more. I know, but it's always been a back and forth for years. Because I think many years ago there was another video of some other girl that she was fighting gas station for him. Listen, don't fight for no man, because these men not fighting for you. I mean,
he wasn't.
They don't want you.
It's not. Listen, I bust woman ask for my husband too, but it's not for the man. It's for the faithfulness. You need to have respect. Just like how you say.
But hold on. All right, Michelle, this sound like this could be this would be a good discussion for that after dark show, you know. But let me ask you something. Who is disrespecting you more than your husband? Because he's the one out there fucking around on you.
Listen to me. I was told, and I tell him, and a woman push up on him. If it was his sister, score. We may come calling queer because plenty of these women around him, and I prove it. If you don't want nothing to do with them, they try to scandal you and call you back.
Oh, you need to give these men more credit for the wrong that they be doing, girl.
Oh, listen to me. It's always two sides of the story. I was told by people and bars. They used to go chasing my husband. And she used to come down and heck at you, a friend at my sister-in-law. And he told them to tell her to come down and heck about a hand. I lying in the bed with him. And that bitch called him, and I answered the phone. And she gonna tell me, I used to tell people she might be think that I used to sleep on the roof and he on the bed. She used to chase him. Her father run her from down by 40s, that rock gas station. I call it when Mr. Tibbetts and I were working all that. Soon 3 o'clock on it, chasing him to his work. He needed to break her hand on pistol bar. Well, Melba, it's two sides of the story, and everybody tell me beat her up because you run from her. When Jim and them used to run Pedro Castle, when I went out there and beat her that night, so she called, and he tell him to tell her he wasn't there, and he went out in the man bathroom, and she come and went up, and Rena tell me, shall not bust her ass because she faced it. You running from her. But that's why I beat her ass, because she was two-faced. The night that I bust her up down like and said that he was out there, chasing Buzzer Tibbet because Buzzer had been drinking for 3 days and Bella River, the only one could have calmed down Buzzer and Curtin, Mr. Darwin, then used to come and look for him.
But let me ask you a question now. Did you ever bust his ass?
No, I never bust his ass because she was chasing him. She was chasing him.
But how you can chase something that don't want to be chased? You tell people to stop calling you and you block them? I mean, back in those days, I don't know what year this was. Maybe they didn't have the block feature, but you know, you've been able to block people for a long time now, Michelle. So there's some reason why she was chasing him. I find it hard to believe that he wasn't giving her. That he wasn't giving her no encouragement. I mean, come on now. Let me tell you something. Listen, I try.
Like all the time the man fault.
No, but no, I don't believe in that foolishness. Let me. Yes, I agree. I agree, but these men be encouraging it. You just don't know. I don't know. But enough of them be encouraging it too. All I'm saying is, you know what? My husband gives me the he gives me the passcode. My husband gives me the passcode to his phone, right? And I've never really felt like I needed to check anything. But you know, all women need to keep an eye out. You know, you can't really trust nobody at 1,000.
That's it. They trust no shadows after that. But what I'm saying is all the two sides of the story, and some women are determined. The Western dog. I know another one I can call the name. I see.
Don't call no names.
Yes. McDonald when before the war, and this man had about 1 million Spanish women, and he beat. I'm calling no name, but he beating her up and licking her up and telling him go. I don't want that to do you. And she kneeling down begging him. You think they will have to be lined from the head to the top to whatever the gold, silver, diamond? I gotta be that fool for man. No, man.
No,
it's all this two sides of the story. And then somebody's commenting on your show and what they need to know. Because I used to see their husband every fucking morning coming down and he tell me one morning, what are you doing up on this road? He say to all I say, watching you coming pouring before you go to your walk. And right now they throw him out, he walk. And I see one certain person on the commenting about what is about with this guy that they need to check on their thing, and that Donald Mile Road, that is from the horse's mouth. Every morning I used to see him, and I used to go walking on this back road, and he said, what you do? I said, I come out to see you whoring. You don't play with me, I'll call your wife. Yeah, tell on that.
Anyway, honey child, this just proves that we need that after dark show. Somebody hurry up and come and host that,
I tell you, I know plenty of things that is the God in heaven truth. I could read the Bible, but I will talk. And plenty of them that are on the commenting don't know half of what's going on in their life. They need to check it out and stop commenting on other people's things. Wow, they say when you live in pig in her pen, you shouldn't go stone.
Lord Jesus.
I on there this morning commenting, and all I had to do was laugh and say, Lord, this is where you can see things when you're watching and listening. Wow. They need to check their own business, because I tell you, everyone got skeletons.
Yeah, for sure. Some more than others, though. Some more than others. All right, honey child, thank you so much.
And then the plant talk is the one that opened the big mouth. They say, go down a rabbit hole and stay down and then...
Thank you, my dear. What a heat, Lord Jesus. No, sir. Who else calling me this morning? Mr. Dexter, we missed a call from you. Wow. Somebody called at 9:30. Let's see if we can call this person back. Maybe they had another story to tell us. Poor Miss Lucille. Miss Lucille, don't make them people get you all upset. But that one hits hard, hits close to home. That's why she's very, very upset about it. She said, them churches not all good. Lord have mercy. Yep, we need that relationship show. I'm telling y'all straight up. Okay, that person must be busy now. I'm thinking live will be better. Oh, sorry, wrong message. Yes. This person says, good morning, TD. Poor Miss Lucille. Yes, it's her daughter that's married to that corrupt cop Courtney. I'm glad she finally spoke her mind. You can tell Miss Lucy been holding that in a long time. Yes, try and get that after our show some of these people need the help with the cold hard truth. Relationship show. But yeah, you can really tell that Miss Lucille is feeling, we feel your pain, Miss Lucille. Well, Johan here with his comments making us laugh says, give me your passcode for your cell. Man agrees because he's afraid to get deported. I've never asked for it. I was given it. And I was given all the 2FAs and everything. Email was added to my phone. Listen, when men have nothing going on, they don't have anything to fear. You know, if something happens to him, he knows I can get to his phone. Sometimes he'd be calling me, oh, can you log into my email and respond to this email for me? I'm like, okay, I must look like his secretary. But you know what I'm saying? I think if people are just being honest and they don't have anything to fear, he's got my passcode too. You know, he not really into no stuff, so not like he can be sitting there looking at my WhatsApp messages, but there was one person who was he didn't really like this person messaging me. And I can tell you what, he took the liberty of blocking that person on my phone. I was like, okay. If he gets a certain vibe from someone, and I don't know what's up with you men, some of y'all kind of low-key jealous, but if he gets a certain vibe, he's like, why are you talking to him? And I'm like, what? This is so not that kind of situation. Miss Marva says, love you and miss you, my side pappy. See you or tuned in with your other girlfriend, Sandy Hill. Who are you talking to? Marshall? Who are you talking to? Well, my dear, you gallivanting. You the one who gallivanting on vacation, gone on cruise again. Listen to Carrot, how much she wants to sell dildos to people. Somebody mentioned that apparently Reflections has an adult section. I didn't know this, but there you go. For those of you who want to remain single and still get your kicks. Irvin says, I ain't searching no man's phone, me either, girl. Trust and believe. Good morning, Amelia. Says, when a woman gives out her love, she gives everything. Some women be splitting between men, girl. You just have to know the woman. Some women be split between 3, 4, and 5 men. And that's all that's a whole other mix-up situation. Carrie says, now you got yourself a good man. He's a feeler. Yes, sir. Faith and Hope says, just like how the women get the gut feelings, the man do too. And by the way, Miss Lucille mentioned something about these churches, right? That they're the ones sometimes encouraging people to stay in these bad relationships. And remember I told you guys the one about Down Church and Swamp? Pastor, don't call now, don't call today. But remember that situation too, where a woman told the seniors in the church that another church member, I can't remember if he was a deacon or who he was in the church, that he had sexually assaulted her. Did he get her pregnant? I'm trying to remember how this story go now. But anyway, he had sexually assaulted her and she went and told the deacons in church looking for their advice. They made her, as the complainant, as the alleged victim, they made her get up and apologize to him in church. Y'all go figure that shit out. That's why when Miss Lucille say that enough of these churches not no good, and I don't care if they 7-day Adventists or quarter-day Adventists or whatever the hell they're supposed to be, 2-day Adventists, whatever, enough of them not easy. Oh God, pure crosses. Oh, she's replying to Johan. Yeah, enough of them pure crosses. Trust and believe me. They're idiots. Absolutely idiots. Oh my God. Lord have mercy. Anyway, I don't know what to say. It's so much madness going on out there. But yeah, I mean, it's hard, I think, when someone is in an abusive relationship for them to get out. And that's why, like most things, I think that it is best for women not to get in the situation, women and men, because there are men who are in abusive relationships as well. I think the best possible advice is not to get into it at all, because, then it's like it's hard to get out. All right, let's talk about the child, please, left in the car. I have reached out to the RCIPS looking for some details on this situation, because I'm a little bit confused about who does this. I'm actually told it was the father of the child Lord, this is why oh my God, you can't even trust these men with your children. It was the father of the child who actually, it was the father of the child who actually left the child in the car. Now, I don't have any details in terms of how old the child is or anything like that. So I'm waiting for the police to hopefully release some details on the age of the child. Not that that matters, because who leaves a child at night in a vehicle locked up, I guess? I don't even know, because some of these cars will not lock if you're not in it. And then you go and what? All right, let's have a look. Hold on. Let me have a look, at the videos that we have for this one. Because this is another all kind of mixed up situation. We have multiple videos. Oh, that one says it won't play. Hold on. Why won't my videos play? Oh, hold on. Let me go and download them from the other WhatsApp. So let me see here. All right, give me 1 second. Let me just download these videos. So these were equally disturbing, to say the least. I am. Oh, hold on, not the wrong one. Where is he? Oh, hold on. Let me get the right videos up here. So yeah, so we've got a couple videos here, and this was Cotton Club apparently last night. Fathers, if you trying to play daddy, okay, and you take a child, oh my God, please do not take these children out to bars. Same thing with that mother in Cameron Brack, the one now that this video not playing. Hold on. The one now that the guy there is being charged with murder of her child. I'm begging you to please do not take your children out to bars and nightclubs and all kind of mixed up situation. What the hell? These are all muted, but what the hell are you doing taking your children to these types of places anyway? Cotton Club, not no place for no child. To be quite honest, not a place for most of you. I'm just like, what? What are y'all doing? So we have some footage here of the police. There's one that has audio that's very short, but there's footage here of the police being called to the scene of Cotton Club last night, because yeah. Was that about to fight for her child? Oh my God. What has this man become? Ross. Well, this is beyond a disgrace. I mean, I don't even know. This is another one. I don't even know what to call this. Why would you take a child that time of night after dark? Children should be home sleeping in their beds. Good morning, caller.
Hey, you tried calling me?
No. Oh, I might have accidentally called you back because I don't have numbers saved, so I don't recognize numbers, Sorry, I saw a missed call and I called you back. Okay, hon. Yeah, what I'm saying is, what are y'all doing with these children? Why would you take a child out in a nightclub? Amelia says, a cheating man may win moments of pleasure, but he loses the one thing that matters the most, trust. And once trust is gone, love starts to fade. That's true. There's this show on, I can show y'all this because I don't know if y'all know this or not, but there's this show on TV called, hold on, I always come across their reels and I love it. It's called Tonight's Conversation Podcast. Have you guys heard of these guys? I guess they have like a YouTube show, a podcast, whatever. and they bring it. I'm like, you know, I need these women. It's women and men on the podcast. They have like open show. I love the format for this as well, where they get up and they ask questions. And there's just one woman on the panel. I'm gonna download one of these. There's this one woman on the panel she is my spirit animal. Oh my God, I love her. She just speaks the truth. The woman don't mince her words. She is like, look ya, honey child. Hold on. Cause boy, y'all be, oh my God. Y'all be disrespecting the relationships. They be doing the most. I want to find a good one. Hold on. There's a few that I've listened to that I'm like, girl, you speak it. Let me see if I can find a good one. Hold on. But have you guys, anybody else heard of this podcast other than me? I love them. What does one say? I need her to come to Cayman. Oh, yeah. Hold on. This one might be good. Let me see. She just speaks the truth. Ooh, honey child. One second. Is this the one where okay. Yeah, we should. Oh my God, if we could have them as guests on the After Night show. Oh my gosh, that would be next level. I'm just saying. Speak it into existence. Speak it into existence. I'm feeling it. They have an amazing, you guys, if you haven't heard of them, go check them out because they are like really, really good. Let me see here now. Let me see. Hold on. They do a very all relationship based stuff. And so people get up and they talk about, you know, the situations that they find themselves in and whatever. And girl and boys, let me tell you, honey child, they're like, that man not respecting you. Oh, like there was this one, like, apparently this woman cheated in a relationship. Oh, why can't my partner get over it? She was like, what? Let's back this all the way up. Hold on. Let me find a good one. These are they're good. I absolutely love it. Hold on. I'm going to find one more. Because if you guys have never seen them, you need to go and follow them. I love their little snippets. They be, ooh, child. They read it like, Okay, here's this one. Oh, this one was good. This one was good. This one, boy, they be up on stage shaking their head like, you said what? All right, hold on. It's so interesting that most of the people in the audience be women, though. I must admit, I'm like, where's the men that are getting cheated on? They don't want to come forward, I guess, because they're too embarrassed. I don't know. But y'all men don't have nothing to be embarrassed about. Trust me when I tell you. Because on the real, this stuff is happening every single day. Honey child. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, this is a really good one. Oh my God, they're all so good. But listen, I want to share a clip with you guys. This is more about all this relationship drama and stuff and what they be up to. And oh my God, I can't even. Video. Hold on. Let me see now. Yeah. I'm going to play some of these for y'all because I don't know what this one lady's name is, but she is, like I said, she is my spirit animal because woo, you just got to look at her face and you know she not playing. She be like, you said what? Huh? And then she's like, come again. And I'll be like, oh shit. It's going to go down. All right, hold on one second. Okay, all right, listen to this one.
Like losing the woman a man loves, truly loves, to finally process his feelings and regret his immaturity and boy behavior.
See, we have a wrong assumption. You think I want you back because I want to give you a promotion. No, I want you back for the same job you filled in the first place. You were my collectible. I don't want you back because I want to upgrade you to wife. I want you back because you're the woman that I had for years on end that allowed me to do what the I wanted to do in this relationship without recourse. And then you decided to leave. That was a shock to me. When did you grow this backbone? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend to be something I'm not just to get you back comfortable again. How many chances have you given that man to prove to you over and over again that that's the same? This time, though, he's going to pretend to be sorry. Like I'm going to change. And for a while it may work. It works long enough for you to think that maybe, just maybe, circling the block is a good thing. You know why people circle the block? So they can finish the job. That's why people circle the block. And oftentimes what I think people misunderstand about this relationship thing and this growth thing is that in order to change, you got to change first. When you ask the question, why this man keep wanting, why you paying attention to him? Why you even know he texting you? If you was done, you wouldn't respond. You know how that man know you ain't done? Because you responding. One more thing.
Hot tomato.
Men that play games need toys. That toying with you. So why you over there thinking that it's, oh, he done learned his lesson, why it takes for him to finally realize he ain't realized. He just seen somebody else potentially about to play with his toy. He ain't having that. Ain't it always interesting that people want to now be better when they see you moving on? It wasn't until you posted that Insta story that now that man is in your EDMs. Ain't nobody else gonna have that. All right. So before we go forward, I just want to separate. Too many people think that someone wants a second chance to do right by you. Sometimes they want a second chance just to put you through the same.
Oh my God. Can we just say hello? That show's called Tonight's Conversation. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Here's another good one. Another good one, honey child.
And she was one of those people that always tried to outdo you. So recently she asked me, can I date the guy you used to date? So she started saying that she felt like God brought him into her life and how I stopped being friends with her. So am I wrong for cutting her off?
You are right. She started off, that girl is always trying to outdo her. That girl is in competition with you. Some women will get close to you so they can study you, so they can have what you have, so they can enjoy the same treasures that you have. You did right. You should, as soon as she came to you with that conversation, she should have been at the door on her way out. You should have cut her out then. I don't care about the rest of the conversation. I don't care if you were having compassion for her and all that. If you have a snake in your life, get rid of them because they are always going to be at your heel. You hit the snake on the head for a reason. Chop the head off. You did exactly what you need to do. She was not a friend. I have dealt with frenemies. I have dealt with foes. They will try to take you out so far as to even take your kids out. You did absolutely what you were supposed to do. Don't feel bad about it. If you want to have empathy and grace and compassion, you can do that. Do that in the spirit. She can still be on physically where she at. But don't feel bad for nothing that you did, because I promise y'all, some of y'all men don't understand this. We women, we understand this. When you have a woman who is an enemy to you, when I tell you she will tear you down, the fact that she had the audacity to even come and ask you a question like that lets you know right then and there, you were never my friend to begin with. You were never my friend to begin with. So that's child.
She be speaking the truth. Oh my God, I love her. This is another good one. One more.
I'm speaking to everyone in this room right now. I had a guy who was just like that. I left him immediately. We ain't finna play no games like that. And I'm happily married. You know why? Because what I learned, and I had to learn it the hard way, is to stop falling for the reward. It's the positive reinforcement. It's that intermittent reinforcement that allows us to stay with these men. When you see the tactic, accept that that is who they are, that is their behavior, that is manipulative. Do not fall for the reward, all the affection and the love and the kisses and I'm sorry, I'm gonna change and all that. That's what they do. They give you reward and they pull you back in, and then they do the same thing, and then you have this intermittent reward and they pull you back in. Stop falling for the reward. The moment I see that you have lied to me consistently, that you have manipulated me, that you have done something over and over, that I have to keep telling you about something that you did, that you disregarded me, you didn't consider me, that you have affected me, that you have hurt me in some capacity, and I have to keep on repeating this same conversation, I don't care about the apology. I don't care about the gifts. I don't care about none of that. But that comes with you also knowing your worth. That's the reason why we constantly say know your worth. You will not know your worth if you keep trying to find your worth in that man who's hurting you. You have to know what your worth is. So that means you need to take the time to get to know yourself and know what it is that you value and know what it is that you earn and what you will not allow.
Honey, yeah, what y'all think of Miss Kitty? Miss Kitty got it going on. One more coming through.
My life is with his child mother, and the reason being is because she threatened to take away his child if they were not together. He wants me to wait for him until he figure out what he's going to do. But, you know...
Hell no. What the
Look at Miss Kitty. Look at the expression on Miss Kitty's face. That's all y'all need to know. She's like, what the fuck did you just say to me? Look at her face. Her face says it all. And then she have to tell. No. This is so funny. No.
So should I wait for him or should I just move on for him?
Listen to what you just said.
No.
I want you to remove your emotions for a second. If I were just a random person and I had the same conversation with you and said, you know what, this man has a family, he has a woman who's involved, who's threatening to take his kid and everything else, but he's the love of my life and he's a good person. You in sound mind with those emotions off would have said, you are out of your mind. So I need you to remove these emotions for a little bit. I need you to be a little more logical about the decision that you're about to make, because you'll end up waiting 5, 10, 15, 20 years for the said love of your life.
Yep. And
while he's over here advancing in his life, you will be waiting in sorrow, in distress, in despair, watching somebody else have the life that you want.
Cause let's just be honest, like if she's saying I'm gonna keep the kids from you and XYZ, it's ways around that, right? Like we can go to court, we can do whatever we gotta do, cause that's the type of person I am. I'm not letting nobody keep me from my kids. That's just what it is.
Trill, I hate to cut you off. He loves that woman he's with. We are operating under this assumption that what he's saying to her is truthful. I do not believe that is truthful. When a man loves a woman, he will move mountains for that woman.
Hold on.
No, hold on. Whoa. What I'm saying is, you think he can tell her the truth that I'm actually in love with this woman and I want to explore it, but I don't want to lose you. So what I'm going to do is keep you on the back burner. I'm going to put you on layaway with this lie. We all acting like this man cares about her. If he cared about her, he would be truthful.
Wait a minute. Slow down. I think it's unfair to say without a doubt or so definitively that's what it is. There are tons of people who do not like their baby father or baby mother. There are tons of people who are in very difficult situations. And what I can tell you is, unfortunately, a lot of men have not learned how to properly handle these types of difficult situations.
Or some men are skillful in convincing a woman to be a side chick. And that's exactly how you do it. I don't like her no more. We just roommates. I'm just waiting it out for the kids. The classic lines.
He said to her, wait for him, right? That's insinuating he's trying to handle the situation.
For context, how long ago did he ask you to wait for?
About a year ago.
Oh, okay, there we go.
My God.
There we go.
I was about to defend him.
Oh, Lord have mercy. A year ago. Yep. Child, y'all need to see what is going on. I love this podcast. I'm glad that I'm not the only one. Wanda says, yes, I agree. This is a great podcast. I've watched this all the time. Plain and straight. You saw the look on her face? Child, she was like, no, and no. Tell me you going to wait on a man. You know, that thing about you being an unintentional side piece, right? And the man gets to decide that you're the side piece is so interesting, because I know of a lot of situations with women where that happens. Like, you don't even know that you're the side piece, but he's put you in a predicament where you actually end up being the side piece. Ooh, I love that show. And Miss Kitty, she is my spirit animal, 1000%. Oh, let's get back to K-Man because we got enough drama here to keep us busy. Ms. Marvis says, let's set the record straight. That child should not have been taken to Cotton Club, period. But let's play devil's advocate here. If daddy take the child to Cotton Club, we have to, number one, be appreciative for the father to be babysitting, for mom to go out for a bit. What? And number two, he didn't leave the child home to go find her, which I feel could have been worse. And now if this was a mom, my message is a bit different. Parents, take care of your children. let them be your priority, not your help. But you see, I don't know enough about this situation. You're assuming that he went there and left the child in a car because he was looking for the mother? Where did you get that from? Because I don't know where that assumption comes from. So the name of that podcast, yes, let me share the link. It's called Tonight's Conversations, and here's their Facebook link. Follow them, because I sure do. And I like the little video shorts. Like, I don't know if I can sit down and watch the whole show, but they have, I think, the whole show on YouTube. But Facebook does the video shorts. Very, very good. So I guess they go around to like different venues and stuff, and they take questions from the audience. So, but yeah, Miss Kitty is always on point. I love her. Woo. I'm just like, child. Oh my God. So many good. I mean, she just breaks it down for you. Like, you got to know when you're a side piece. You got to know when these guys are playing you for the fool. And, you know. Anyway, let me see. So I don't know, Miss Marva. I'm still waiting in more details. But quite frankly, I don't know that that was the case. So I mean, I assumed that he went there to have a drink. I mean, you see, because I don't really know what the context of why you have a child at Cotton Club for anyway. Oh, we actually have some men asking questions. Oh, let's watch some of the men, because mostly it's women who are there asking relationship questions, but I love when a man has a question too. Hold on, I want to watch one from one of the men. I've never actually seen any of the men because there's so few of those. But let's watch a few of these. So I'm waiting on the police. I have reached out to them for some additional information on this incident at Cotton Club, because I think we need some clarity. But folks, listen, if it's the case that the woman or the mother was there and he's trying to figure out where she's at or whatever, don't take the child there and leave the child in the car. Not for nothing, but Cayman is not as safe as it used to be. So you can have situations now like where someone can take your child. You know, I just, why take that chance? If you got that kind of woman who this is what she's up to, this is how she's out in the streets, she's leaving you at home with the baby, it might be time for you to think about some alternative options when it comes to being in a relationship with her or whatever it is that she's doing. Now, Ms. Marva, I noticed that you have a different standard for women than you do for men. Because you say, now, if this was mom, my message is a bit different. Parents, take care of your children. But why is it different if it's a mom or a dad? That should be the message regardless of whether it's the father or the mother. We need to elevate. I get that the women bear the children, right? But we need to elevate in our communities the parenting role of men as well. You don't babysit your own child. That's not babysitting. I hate when people say you're babysitting and that's your own child. That's not babysitting. That's your child. That's your responsibility, right? You lay down with a woman. You got her pregnant, whether you intended to or not. The baby's here. Hopefully you took your little DNA test. Whether you're with her or not with her, there are times that the two of you have to work together as a team. So y'all be having children too young, and you still want to be out in these streets flossing and whatever, going out in the clubs, and you don't have a plan for what happens to your children. So one night she goes out, then the father's responsibility is to stay home with those children. That's not babysitting. That is minding the children that you 50-50 contributed to bringing it into this world. What y'all need to stop doing is having children so young before you're mature enough to say, you know what? I don't have to be out in the club every single weekend. Let's watch another one from a man's perspective.
Married with escape plan and Meridian plan. Because the truth is, divorce is tough. And at the end of the finish line, what I've noticed that you said is, why do women want to escape, right? Why does she come up with an exit plan? Being a divorcee, I know at the finish line, God don't show you her. He show you you. And so what you got to do is look on the inside and say, hey man, there were some things that I didn't do. I've never got on any platform and said anything negative about the woman that I married because I don't even remember what she did because God didn't show me her. He showed me me. So as a man, I want you to work through that healing so you can see what part you played in the demise of your marriage. And in love, I'm not here for the claps from ladies, bro. Like, I'm straight for men. I want to see you win. So as I speak into your life, I want to tell you that you are smart, you are intelligent, you are loved, you are cared for, you are honored, you are trusted, you are faithful. I want you to get your identity back and stop blaming her. You got to look in the mirror, but it's hard to see the picture when you the frame. All right?
Well, I'm not.
It's hard to see the picture when you the frame, bro.
I'm not blaming her.
But you can win, champ. You can win. Sean, show me some love, bro, like I appreciate you. Come here, man. Come here, man. I know this tough, bro. A lot of people ain't been through it. I didn't have the courage to get on the mic and talk about it. Indeed. Bruh, he says he just found out she heard.
Sure.
Wait, where's she at? Come here, man. Come on, where's she at?
She not on no
Jerry.
What a hot mess. Oh my God. All right. Yeah. I mean, lots of relationship drama, but again, I can't really speak because I don't have enough of the details, but Miss Marvis says I wasn't really assuming anything, just playing devil's advocate and generally making a statement. What a mess. Yes, I mean, they all need to do better. I don't have no separate message from mothers, fathers. You all need to step up to the plate and start being a man. You have fathered a child. You contributed 50-50. And so you've got to take responsibility for your children. Somebody said in that video, they see that hot mess of a Shanae up in there again, because she always in the mix with foolishness. Okay, let me see. Good morning. I'd like to speak to you confidentially in regards to my employer and unfair treatment. Okay, I'll message you after the show. All right. Oops, mama got to get to work. Got to deliver some dash cams. An order just came in for two dash cams to be delivered this morning. If you need a dash cam, hit me up. Y'all know how it goes. We got inventory. Best dash cams on island. And most importantly, here's something I want to tell y'all, because I see some people now that we've been promoting this particular brand, they're starting to bring this in. Here's the difference. One major difference that is very, very important for you is that we are dealing directly with the manufacturer as a reseller. Okay. So what that means is you get a full 18-month warranty. Nobody else is offering you that. You buy it, you take it out, and it doesn't work. They're going to be like, oh, well, too bad. We don't have a return policy. We don't have a warranty policy, because they're fly-by-night operations who don't really understand business and how to set things up properly. We don't do things like that. You get the full 18-month warranty from the company. Okay. And I have had to return things to them, and they'll ask you to do a couple, like test this, no problem, still under warranty. Kaboom, they send you a replacement unit, no problem. Call me. Hello, Soka. How you doing, honey child? I missed you this weekend because I went to Tampa instead of Miami, and I had a fabulous time. Hope these relationship specialists, not like the dude who was never married because he couldn't keep a woman, but giving advice. Trying to remember his name. He died pretty young. This is all common sense. Oh, I know who you're talking about. He had like a heart attack or something. But his platform was, he was very like, oh, a woman's place is in the home, in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant kind of vibe. Yeah, I never watched him, but after he died, I remember reading stuff about the type of show that he had and whatever. But listen, anybody can give you advice, Soka. You need to have a discerning spirit to know when advice is nonsense and when advice is like, okay, well, this makes sense. So I don't know the background of these people. Miss Kitty references like her past relationships and stuff like that quite a bit. But what I would say is, she seems to do an amazing job. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I got to get to work. I got to go deliver some dash cams this morning. And yeah, y'all have a, Soka says, yeah, Plenty gives no warranty like in the BRAC. The retail stuff, I don't do a whole lot of retail anymore because that's, I still have that business license and I maintain it because yes, I do bring in the streaming boxes. By the way, if you're looking for good streaming options, you're sick and tired of overpaying for TV, you should call me too. Expert in that. That's like 10-year business now. But I don't really push those too much because CMR does take up a lot of my time. Woo, yes, sir. But we always have inventory, and actually I need to order some more boxes soon. I think I'm getting a little bit low. But yeah, we've always got inventory. And again, I don't mess. My customers know me. We provide excellent customer service. I pride myself in good customer service. I try to keep my customers realistic because some of their expectations, like, oh, nothing ever happens to box. I'm like, or service. I'm like, there are outages every once in a blue moon, but you got a rainy weekend and you can't watch your Dish Network either. So it's like, but anywho, you can link me if you require any of those things. Okay. Yes, Mello, tonight's conversation is named that podcast. Go check them out. I really enjoy them. What I've seen from them, they're excellent. And I love, like I said, I love Miss Kitty. The guys are good too, though. I feel like they have a good, I don't know how many it is in total, but it looks like it's about 4 of them. But this Kitty always brings it home. Oh my goodness, I need to get up. That's why I'm yawning. Need to move. Okay. All right. I'm going to go. I got lots of work to do. And you guys have a wonderful and productive Monday. So on tomorrow's show, I want to talk about, because this is really, really important. I want to, I need to tell this person to WhatsApp me. I already checked Messenger and Facebook. Y'all WhatsApp me. Okay. This is sometimes, why is this person, they're messaging me, but I can't get the message. This is so weird. Huh. This is weird. This is Facebook, child. I was just gonna say, yes, look at this hot tamale. Oh Lord, I forgot what I was gonna say. I can't. Oh, tomorrow's show. So we need to talk about the graduation at Clifton Hunter on tomorrow's show. Yeah. Wednesday, let's break down the proposed immigration changes. We'll take a deep dive into that. So I'm kind of laying out the schedule in my head of what we need to cover this week. And yeah. What else? I think that's it. Oh my God, what the hell? Oh, which country was this? Travel blogger raped by 7 men on vacation in front of her husband. What the hell? Which country was this? Oh, India. Oh God, why am I not surprised? Oh my God. That's one country that beautiful for a lot of reasons and not beautiful for this single reason. Women are, whew. Oh God, I can't even find the story. Like, I don't even know if I want to read that. That's too much stress on a Monday. I can't even. All right. Yes. Okay. All right. All right. So that's where we're at for this week. And yeah, okay. That's all I got for you today. Good folks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. You guys are amazing. You're wonderful. Big shout out again to Sharon over at Cayman Airways in Tampa. I'm going to post up my little Cayman Airways. Thank you. They did increase the fees. All I'm going to say is they're still the cheapest in the industry. And you know, what you heard what they said about fee increases, and some of these SAGCs got to help themselves. I hear that Spirit, who's supposed to be a budget airline, charges like $50 for the first bag. Listen, it is what it is. The airline industry is tough. A lot of these companies are not profitable, and they've got to find revenue making measures, and things like baggage fees just happens to be one of them. So it is what it is. What you gonna do? It only went up by $5, so I think y'all will be all right. And traveling is a luxury for most of us. You know, occasionally you might have to travel for medical purposes, but it is more or less a luxury. All right, video commercial, and then I will see you guys tomorrow morning, 7:30. Tune in early. We got to talk about Clifton Hunter because I hear that's a hot mess. Someone said Frontier Airline is $45 if it's done online, and probably more in person. See you guys tomorrow.
The Fall Labour Force Survey and Quality of Life Survey conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office (ESO) started on Sunday, September 28th. The Labour Force Survey seeks to collect data on the employed and unemployed persons in the Cayman Islands, as well as those who are not in the labour force. The Quality of Life Survey seeks to gather information on life satisfaction, sense of well-being, financial security, economic outlook, social inclusion, sense of belonging to the local community, and perceived health. Trained interviewers, with ESO ID cards, will visit randomly selected households. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the Statistics Act. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from Freedom of Information requests. For more details, please call the ESO hotline at 516-3329, that is, 516-3329,